Leaking gut.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, November 29th, 2020. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1299.
This is No Agenda.
Reviewing Civics 101 and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I was once media exempt, now I'm protest exempt. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
I know you're allowed to protest in California. That's the best.
It's exempt.
Yes, here, I got the clip.
With coronavirus cases soaring across L.A. County, public health officials are rolling out new restrictions aimed at slowing the spread.
We just figured that it was almost inevitable that this was going to happen.
Dr. Thomas Yedegar is the medical director of the intensive care unit at Providence Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Tarzana.
With the current projections, if we continue at this pace, it is very possible that in the next 2 weeks we will be in critical shortage of intensive care unit beds.
The new stay-at-home order takes effect Monday and will last for 3 weeks. It bans all public and private gatherings with people not in the same household, except for religious services and protests.
So you can just say, I'm protesting.
Well, that's what the No Agenda meetups are going to have to be down there. And, of course, Arch Grand Duke Dave Foley got us the website noagendaprotest.com.
Yes.
And forward it to noagendameetups.com. So if you're going to do any meetups down there, you don't do meetups, get a few signs and do a protest.
Yes. It has to say something like, down with the virus.
Anything. It doesn't say anything. It just has to be a protest.
Oh, my.
You suck would be a great sign.
No, I think down with the virus is that's kind of a weird throwback to 70s probably. But I am very pleased, man.
I got to chant then.
Yeah, we do.
Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Coronavirus has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Coronavirus has got to go.
I'm so proud of our governors across the nation. So, obviously, thank you, Gavin Newsom, for letting the citizens of Gitmo Nation protest and still walk around. And thank you to Nevada Governor Sisolak. Man, this guy has really been working very hard for this cause.
Thank you for taking my question. Governor Sisolak, how do you plan on enforcing, for example, limitations on private gatherings and also this stronger mask mandate you're referring to?
Well, we are certainly not the mask police, but I have done everything I could to help spread this virus.
Yeah, yes.
It's now incumbent upon all of us as residents of Nevada to do our part.
Okay, let's go out and spread the virus. And no correction, by the way. The journalist didn't say, hey, you mean stop the virus? No. And this wasn't even a vaccine-related brain fart. This guy means it, I think.
Well, that's what he said.
He should be very proud of himself.
Why would he put those words together unless he meant them?
So it's very, very funny. There's a big problem that they're witnessing everywhere with the cases. Now, before Thanksgiving, this was the type of warning you would be hearing.
CNN medical analyst Dr. Jonathan Reiner joins me now. He's a professor of medicine at George Washington University. Dr. Reiner, thanks so much for joining us. You describe Thanksgiving as potentially the mother of all super spreader events. There are other major holidays on the way, so what should the average American be doing right now to stay safe?
They should be masking up and not traveling.
Yeah, stay home.
This virus is, no longer isolated to certain enclaves in the United States. It's all over the country. And when people
was it
travel
isolated to enclaves?
Well, this guy knows everything. Why are you even asking questions, man?
They just further that spread. So the next big holiday is obviously the Christmas New Year's holiday, where people tend to travel, want to travel, want to be with family, but we just can't do it this year. We're going to cause needless deaths, and particularly among people we really care about. Our most vulnerable, our grandparents, our parents,
kill Granny,
our neighbors. We can't travel this year. We need to stay home. This
chairs.
is a sacrifice that Americans can make. We should be making it for each other. Stay home, mask up. We'll have a great series of holidays next year. We'll really have something to celebrate next year.
Well, here's the problem. After the super spreader event of Thanksgiving, the case-demic seems to be on the decline. What is going wrong? And thank goodness Associated Press has let us know far and wide, don't get complacent. This is a false decline because there were less people testing over Thanksgiving. They really want to have it both ways now. Oh, no, more testing doesn't mean that you'll just get more cases. No, this is people are infected everywhere, infected with seething infections. But when they don't test, fake news, false decline, you're kidding yourself. It's really sad. They don't know what to say anymore.
Well, my favorite event during the week, I do have a clip, but it's almost impossible to listen to. But the newsletter from, of all places, Johns Hopkins.
Oh, yes. This was fantastic. Removal of article, right?
They removed the article. Well, the events went as follows. This woman who's... I'll play the clip and I'll try to explain what happened. You're going to have to kind of listen hard. She's got a very...
tough accent.
Hard to deal with French accent, but this is kind of the crux of it. This is the COVID no excess deaths.
Yeah, this was a webinar, I believe, that Johns Hopkins
and it's still
University.
Up.
Yeah,
still up.
The webinar's up. The article is down.
And found that there has been no change in the ratio of each age group death numbers over the total death numbers. So in other words, no change in the percentage each age group contributes to total death. And we looked at the numbers and know that 60,000 deaths per week in the U.S. is normal. It's an equivalent to 3.1 million per year or 8,500 per day. Yeah, you heard that right. 8,500 per day. That's normal. So we look also at weekly deaths per cause of death and found that although heart disease are the leading cause of death in the United States, the number of deaths due to heart disease during the 2020 high of total deaths was reported to be less than the number of heart disease deaths during the high of total death in 2018. Also, for 3 of the 4 weeks where COVID-19 deaths were reported has been higher than heart disease death. So also for the 3 of the 4 weeks where COVID-19 deaths were reported has been higher than heart disease deaths, the number of deaths due to heart disease, influenza and pneumonia, chronic lower respiratory disease, and more decreased compared to the previous week. All this points to no evidence that COVID-19 created any excess deaths.
Uh-oh. This won't stand. No evidence
that COVID-19 created any excess deaths.
Well, how can that be? I don't understand. 250,000 people, Americans, needlessly died. Needlessly.
They're murdered by Trump. Let's get that straight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. What am I thinking? Of course.
So she comes out with this, does a statistical analysis of deaths and shows that the heart disease and these other few things, especially in April, went way down for some reason, probably because nobody could go to the hospital.
Right.
And the COVID went up proportionately. And then when you start evening out the numbers, and she has a nice chart, once you even out the numbers, it looks as though all the COVID deaths can be accounted for. But if there was no COVID, it would have been something else. And we're still running at around an 8,500 deaths a day clip, which is the average in the United States all year round, which is we have 8,500 people die a day. 1,000 are dying of COVID.
Wait, 8,500 people a day die in the United States?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought it was like between 1.5 and 2 million a year. Isn't that kind of the number?
3.
It used to be 3 million. Okay. Yeah.
3.1.
Yeah. What are all these people dying of then? How come we're not hearing about that? This is horrible.
Gee golly! So here's what happens: this comes out in the Johns Hopkins newsletter with all this charts and just a lot of information to back it up. They get some pushback from someone who says, holy crap, this is not the narrative. And they pull the article. And then they say, well, it's a mistake that we didn't go over the information carefully enough. And they went on, and they pulled the article. And then, unfortunately, it's just happened to be in the right cycle for the Wayback Machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
the Wayback Machine picks it up, puts it out. And now, then Johns Hopkins said, when they do their second round of apologizing for pulling the article, we have a PDF of it. No, it's not that it's gone forever. No, and they make a big fuss and they put a PDF out of the exact same file that was part of the newsletter with the redacted, this is bull crap, overlays, a watermark on top of each page.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is a joke.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah, it was very funny, especially from Johns Hopkins, who are the ones with the map. The pew-pew definitive map of all the deaths.
The CNN map that's up on the screen 24/7. The pew-pew map. Pew-pew. Pew-pew. Yeah.
So they got a lot of explaining to do. This poor woman, meanwhile, she's got great credentials. She's been all over the place as a lecturer, and she comes up. I think she was proud of herself for finding this. Look at this. This is an anomaly for you. Let me talk about it.
She will be marginalized. She is going to be turned into a kook, and I can tell you how it's going to happen.
She's a kook. She's already a kook.
The World Economic Forum, the people who brought you the Great Reset, they have a new podcast, yet a new one, which is World versus the Virus. And this is my favorite new elite podcast. And they got a woman on from Shared Verified. And Shared Verified is actually, I'll play it in reverse order. I'll play you the promo clip of Shared Verified in a moment. But the World Economic Forum and the United Nations have teamed up to create a news network, a health news network, the verified information that you can count on and that you can trust. And these will be the real doctors, not that phony one who had that webinar piece of crap that you played there on the No Agenda show, because we know that's, obviously fake news. And they interviewed the woman who is in charge of Shared Verified, and man, they are going all out.
We're seriously in an information environment that is polluted. And we need to clean up the pollution.
I think that's us, John. We're going to get swept under the rug. We're just pollution to these people.
The public needs sources of information that they can trust. Mm-hmm. And they need public figures who they can trust.
Not some old dude in an older VJ.
And, one of the things that we're trying to do is also to kind of popularize scientists. That's one of the initiatives of the UN. It's called Team Halo, where we're giving scientists around the world who are in the labs, kind of quietly developing a COVID-19 vaccine. We've trained them on TikTok and given them the title of guide. And they're actually, bringing the public into their labs and just talking.
We've trained Team Halo on TikTok, the Chinese app.
Answering questions and, about kind of humanizing the process of reaching a vaccine in an attempt to kind of distill the fears and the kind of mystery and the darkness and the misinformation surrounding that process. So, the same with, leading public health figures. There are polls that suggest that that people do have faith in scientists and doctors much more than their political leaders. But there are scientists and doctors who have gone out and publicly been involved in, when we think of the film Plandemic that went absolutely viral.
Absolutely.
This was at the center was a discredited virologist who put on a lab coat, and people kind of believed her without checking her discredited credentials.
Oh man, this is that's really egregious what she did there. Judy Mikovits is not a completely discredited kook who put on a lab coat. She did work at CDC. She did work within the system, and then she was spit out. And this woman just says, oh, no, she just was an idiot who threw on a lab coat. This is good.
So, yes, it is really important that we rebuild the trust in scientists, and the public figures who are guiding our societies.
Yeah, So there you go. It's going to be on TikTok. We will have Team Halo. Team Halo on TikTok. We've trained them.
From the beginning of that clip till right now.
Yeah.
A freight train.
Not a Zephyr.
The length of that clip and you talking.
Wow.
A freight train being lugged around by 5 monstrous engines loaded to the gills with boxes of Chinese goods.
Woohoo!
You can tell by the shippers.
The beaches are open.
It was just full. It was moving along, and it was wow.
How do you know it was Chinese goods?
You can tell by the shippers.
Ah, okay, all right.
Because it's on the side of the
containers.
Containers.
So back to the numbers of all these dead people. Canada has finally figured out who died.
Troubling aspects of the second wave is the resurgence of COVID in long-term care homes, where the virus is finding most of its victims. Today, Quebec promised $100 million for home care and care workers' wages. Since the start of the pandemic, close to 11,000 Canadians have died, and more than 10,500 of them were seniors and staff in long-term care, with most of the fatalities in Quebec and Ontario.
So 11,000 Canadians have died, 10,500 in long-term care facilities. These were older people who, of course, you catch anything at that age and you can die. Well, that's kind of interesting. Not shared widely.
Crazy numbers they doled out. 11,000
people died.
This is on the second wave, though, right? Not the whole.
I think she meant total. I don't think there's been. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Look it up on the Johns Hopkins site.
Well, while you look that up, I'll play the promised promo reel for Shared Verified, so that you know this podcast is bringing you all kinds of disinformation.
This is the biggest act of collaboration in history.
Aha!
And we're all playing our part.
Bull crap.
Millions working as a team.
We're clapping. Bull clap. Clap.
I don't think there's any words for that, but to everybody.
This is really good. So they're playing into your emotions first about how we're all together and we're singing and we're applauding the first responders and we're on rooftops serenading. This is the togetherness. We need to be apart to come together.
Thank you.
All looking out for one another.
Soap up. Soap up.
Soap up.
As we contain the virus, we must also contain misinformation.
Have you heard 5G causes coronavirus?
I've created the cure.
Does blow drying your nostrils kill the virus?
Fake news, rumors, and misinformation spread even more quickly than the virus. And its impact is deadly.
Infodemic.
The couple ingested chloroquine phosphate, which is actually used as a parasite treatment for fish.
Orange.
They sprayed chemicals on them.
Keep your loved ones, families, and communities safe with trusted, verified information.
Around the world, people are scared. They want to know what to do and where to turn for advice.
Yes. What to do.
This is a time for science and solidarity.
Science.
Share verified.
Keep to the rules and you'll all be fine. You'll all pass.
Keep to the rules and you'll all be all fine. She's a cute little old lady at the end who's standing there on her doorstep. She must be 120, and she says,
"Keep to the rules and you'll all be fine."
You'll all be fine. Nah, how can you deny the old lady her wish? To all be fine.
Yeah, it was 11,000 total.
Total for everything. Not just the second wave. Well, there you go.
Right.
You know what? Canada hates old people. Obviously.
Apparently only.
Obviously. They hate old people.
Obvious.
So a lot of these problems are from the testing, obviously. At least the stay-at-home orders, the calling people infected when they're not. We've been through this many times. I finally found a different way to explain what's going on with a new doctor on the scene who does it quite succinctly in a couple of minutes, Professor Sucharit Bhakdi. And let me just give you his bio. He is, I like this guy. He's finally someone from a foreign country we can understand, yo. He is a retired Thai-German microbiologist. He studied at universities of Bonn, Gießen, Mainz, Copenhagen, the Max Planck Institute of Immunobiology and Epigenetics in Freiburg, So he has been around. He has an Order of Merit of Rhineland-Palatinate or something. The guy's for real. Of course, after you hear this, you'll know that he is obviously disinformation and a shill who just threw on a white lab coat. He explains PCR in a beautiful way.
A PCR test is a lab test that may be used to support a diagnosis. So if you think someone is ill, has fever, is coughing, and short of breath, then it's quite legitimate to do a PCR test to try to find the gene of that virus that you're looking for. And if you find it, or parts of the gene, because a PCR test only looks at parts of the virus genome, very small parts, then it's okay. Then you say, all right, this would confirm the clinical diagnosis. But a real doctor doesn't go around testing people with a test that has never been put on the market for use to diagnose a disease. It's only there to see whether you have parts of this virus genome, sitting around in your throat or your nose. And then the terrible thing was that whenever this PCR test was positive.
What?
Stutters.
Oh, yeah.
That person or patient was labeled COVID-19 case. But COVID-19 is the term used for the disease.
This is a good point, which we could have made, because the media, not only do they call cases infected persons, they're also calling them COVID cases, which is technically just not true. COVID is when you have the disease, which means you're coughing and hacking up a lung and dying, but to call a positive so-called PCR test a COVID case is by definition wrong.
And that's where everything really started getting crazy. A positive PCR does not mean that you were infected. It could mean that you were infected and now they're just pieces of the genome lying in your throat. And you take a swab and take it out, and then this PCR machine multiplies that genome. So the number of cycles will tell you how many times this genome has been multiplied. It's like sort of an alcohol breath test. You drink one ml of vodka, you're not drunk, but if you drink 100, you are drunk. So
there you go. That's the comparison. It's like a breathalyzer test. Just because some alcohol shows up in your blood doesn't mean you're drunk and should go to jail. Just because some fragments of DNA show up in your system doesn't mean you have COVID and you're infected.
I think what they should do is to do that as a public service. This PCR test should also test for AIDS.
We're all going to have it. That's not a bad idea, actually. While you're at it, let's do an HIV test, shall we? Oh, boy. We've got some good news and some bad news. Ugh. I think Dr. James Linden on the Irish Media Network, which I think is, I don't even know if it's on television, but I think... Is it a
pod? Is it a pod?
I hope it's not a pod, because I don't do pods. They had an even better description of how lame this is.
Draw the comparison, and all we were doing was, and we spent a lot of time making primers. Everyone at the minute's making primers in a rush to get paid, to keep their company moving, to get some scam grant off whatever.
And these are the primers for the PCR test.
Country is going to pay them some scam grant to make their bullshit device.
I guess it's not on TV. It's probably a pod.
All right. And that's what's happening a lot. It's very frustrating. And PCR, like this talk of the cycles, we used to do kind of 20 to 30 cycles maybe, but they're cycling up to 45 times. I mean, if somebody else was in the room near that, whose uncle used to have COVID a million years ago, there's a chance that might come up positive.
A COVID fart even could set off in the next room.
A COVID fart can set off the PCR test. Yes, I believe that. I think these guys are on to something.
You should listen to this show more often.
I think that's worthy of the title pod, actually. But yeah, we're still going to press and make y'all crazy, and we're going to promote it everywhere. We're going to promote the idea of the Freedom Pass. This is the word now that's being used. I believe that will be the branded name. The Freedom Pass. I mean, it's such a beautiful contradiction in terms. It hurts. It's like, I love these words. Freedom Pass. So you don't really have freedom if you have to show a pass.
Yeah, this is the oxymoron.
It is the oxymoron that will mess with your brain. And they're promoting it on Formula One. This is the commentators who were in Bahrain.
We landed at the airport. We went straight to have a test. We then went straight to our hotel. We waited overnight for the results of that test to come back. And via an app, yes, an app, ladies and gentlemen, that tells you whether you're testing negative or positive. We were all told we had a negative test.
There you go. It was an app. It was great. We just waited. It was fantastic. It was not a problem whatsoever. Whatsoever. Not a problem. So they will just keep pushing. Concordia University in California falsely said that they had an outbreak, and now they admit that more than 50 rapid COVID-19 tests offered to asymptomatic students came back with false positives, which sparked fear of an outbreak on campus. Which, of course, was just not true. Even your YouTuber guy, the affected one, as you call him, who was crying after he tested positive twice, he did another test, and it came back negative.
Well, I guess he's a happy camper.
Yes, he's a lot happier than the clip that you played, that's for sure.
I couldn't get any good crying clips for today's show.
No. But the shame is still there, and lots of people have been sending in their experiences. And by the way, how is sports betting these days? Is sports betting still on despite all the problems with games?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay. Wouldn't it be great if you bet heavily on one team and then made sure that the other team's quarterbacks all got COVID?
Well, that happened to the Baltimore team recently. The quarterback got COVID.
I believe all the Denver Bronco quarterbacks have had COVID and are now ineligible to play against the Saints.
Now they can bring the owner and John Elway, old former quarterback.
Let him do it.
Who's going to know?
Sure. That'd be fine. Anyway, we're well underway with the vaccine. And just to remind everybody, I pulled the clip of Bill Gates explaining about some potential side effects.
Bill, the data showed that everybody with a high dose had a side effect.
Yeah, but some of that is not dramatic where, it's just, super painful. But yes, we need to make sure there's not severe side effects. The FDA...
It's just super painful. There's nothing else to it. Just super painful. And as it turns out, there are some side effects, and it's being reported on.
Now, this happening as several companies race to get a vaccine approved, but early trials show you may need to prepare for side effects. Liza Lucas joins us from the bridge. And Liza, these side effects are expected to be mild, but could really impact your daily life.
Yes, it depends on how you react and how you take that feeling of feeling crummy, because that is what the early data is suggesting, that several of these vaccines may make you feel crummy for a couple of days.
Crummy.
And then you got to go and get that second dose.
Hold on a second. It's a technical term, John. It's crummy. You may feel crummy.
Side effects, feeling crummy.
Yes, this is a no. Hey, she has a white lab coat on.
Okay, well then it means something. Science.
Pfizer is likely most others will require 2 doses to work. The injections must be given weeks apart according to company protocols. Now, scientists anticipate that the shots will cause you to feel drained, perhaps flu-like side effects, including sore arms, muscle aches, and fever. The effects could last days and temporarily sideline some people from work or school.
Sounds great.
Experts believe broad outreach on the vaccine is going to be necessary. And in fact, we've been monitoring how people would feel when it comes to taking that vaccine, the willingness to be vaccinated for COVID-19. A recent Gallup poll showing only half of Americans were ready to take it, half not so much.
No, maybe it's that super painful bit people are not so into. And you have to get 2 shots, which is odd.
This is the same thing with the swine flu, if you recall.
Yes.
They threaten the 2-shot thing. That makes them. They make more money with that.
They never got to it, though. Did they get to the 2-shot? No, it just kind of ended.
No, they never got
right?
to the 2 shots.
Kind of ended. Yeah.
Curiously, it just magically disappeared.
Well, the verified team, the Team Halo, is out and about, and they've recruited some people to go and promote the vaccine. And on RTE1 in Ireland, they have a show, and the host has a kid on. This kid is. She kind of looks like a toddler, but she's well-spoken, so I don't know exactly. She may have been 5 or 6. And she has before her a table, and she has like a doctor's kit, one of those kits that you used to get as a kid, and had a little doctor's case, a stethoscope in there, and a little fake hypodermic needle, and a fake thermometer. So she has that kit. He's got a little dog, a stuffed dog, on the table. And she is going to explain to the people of Ireland about the vaccine and how simple it is. And I think she's promoting a brand. She may be one of these kids who has been trained from Team Halo.
What happens next?
Now he gets medicine to help him with coronavirus.
Oh, great. So did he actually have the virus?
I think so.
Okay.
And over here is the regurgitation station.
What's that?
If he needs to vomit after the medicine.
Okay.
Now we need to get him a Pfizer vaccine.
Okay.
You don't waste time, do you, Saoirse? You're ahead of the game. So does he
He's not participating, so we're going to have to knock him out.
Okay. Tony's having a rough day at the clinic. Okay, so you've knocked him out.
Now we need to just check if he's still with us.
Okay, that's a good.
Yep, he's still with us.
He's still with us. Okay, this is great. This is the story of survival, isn't it? So what happens
next? Now he gets the Pfizer vaccine.
Bang. Okay. And now
he has to stay in this pod for the next 87 days.
That's a serious quarantine.
Because there's a backlog with the HSE.
Oh, I see. Okay, they love that. Yeah. Okay. So you're going to leave him in there for 87 days. Okay.
According to the Department of Education, schools are safe.
I mean, this is child abuse of the highest magnitude.
No, what you introduced me to was a phenomenal idea that no one's decided to execute.
Okay.
Greta Thunberg.
She's on the way.
Bring her into this, because there is a connection to climate change, and this would be doing the public a great service. And she's a blowhard, perfect little girl to do this. Even though she's a teenager.
No, she has to put the pigtails back in to make it work.
Put the pigtails back in and come out and do this and go out and start promoting it. That would be a huge win.
Especially if she says Pfizer every 5 minutes.
Yeah, Pfizer.
Pfizer.
Nice try, Pfizer, you phonies.
Those guys have no shame. I mean, that's seriously shameless.
It's the definition of shameless.
So as we're waiting for the Freedom Pass, I'm not going to give you the Red Book entry just yet. Ticketmaster has walked back a little bit there.
As someone predicted.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, yes, but all they're saying is, well, it's not really up to us. It's up to the venues. We're just preparing our API. We want our API to be prepared for, whatever we have to tie into that'll work with whatever app. And, we haven't quite decided yet. Well, we all know it's going to be the Freedom Pass. And we'll see. But indeed, people around the world are not having any of this. The Brits are protesting with their song, "You Can Stick Your Poison Vaccine Up Your Arse." They actually was pretty violently arrested, a number of protesters. And when the Brits go out and protest, they protest without masks, which is real badass. And I love that. And you see the cops are almost like, oh, man, I don't even want to touch these people. Paris, they're burning the central bank. Yeah, you know where the problems come from. And then we had that douchebag Alan Joyce, the CEO of Qantas, who was all jitty and all jacked and happy about, when you want to travel internationally, you're going to have to prove you had a vaccine. Prove it. So he was doing a speech, some global leadership speech. He's on stage, and a guy comes from behind the stage.
Emerging from backstage, a man in a suit who grabbed Mr. Joyce and smashed a pie into his face.
Since I've been here to announce the... Heck. I don't know what that was about. Excuse me. I might take a break for a second, guys, and just clean up a little bit, and I'll come back.
I love that he says, I don't know what that's about. What could it be about? Why would someone pie me over what? What have I done wrong? No.
That guy deserved the pie. Yes. I wonder what flavor it was.
If you're
going to pie somebody, use a berry pie.
It was a lot of whipped cream, actually. It was
it's mostly whipped cream. But berry pie is good because that, besides pieing him, it ruins his shirt, his fine shirt, finery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for good. I didn't realize it, but the Emmy Awards, now we know about Cuomo and his Emmy Award.
We didn't mention that on the show, so you should mention
it. We didn't, so I have a little reminder quickie. This is from Fox News, actually, first talking to a Democrat about this and then a Republican. It's only 45 seconds.
Governor Andrew Cuomo is going to receive an Emmy for his briefings and his leadership during the pandemic. Kevin, an Emmy for pandemic briefings?
Well, it obviously captivated the national audience. I mean, he held, I think, something like 111 back-to-back press conferences. I know that Fox News, other news networks broke into those press conferences. They were compelling. And again, I think this international body has decided that that's what's worthy of this award. I'm not here to defend the Emmys or Andrew Cuomo. I think it's interesting.
We're about out of time. Joe, final thought?
Final thought is the Emmys are going to have to probably make their award show 19 hours because you're going to need 18 hours for the in memorandum part if Andrew Cuomo wins for all those patients he put back, COVID-positive patients back in the nursing homes.
So just to correct everybody on a couple things, this is the International Emmy Awards. This is not the Emmy Awards as we know them, because they always attempt to televise those at least. So the International Emmy Awards, they're never televised. No one ever looks at this crap.
No, it's like those little mini Emmys they give the daytime people.
Yes, the ones that are never televised.
The newscast in Phoenix, Arizona will get one.
I mean, talk shows get them. It's not about acting. So there was this whole to do and there were thank yous and congratulations from the New Yorkers, from Rosie Perez, Spike Lee, Robert De Niro, of course. Who's the Zoolander guy? That guy. That guy. Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller. But it really wasn't funny, so I didn't clip that. What I thought was interesting was the president of the International Emmy Awards, which is not televised, which is being streamed, apparently. Imagine that. A television award being streamed. They don't see the irony in their own obsolescence. There's no difference between the International Emmy Awards and
PewDiePie.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say there are others, but like Crowder. I mean, it's streamers. You got streamers who stream video, and you got podcasters who do audio, and you're just joining the pack, and you're boring. Witness.
Please welcome to the stage, President and CEO of the International Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, Bruce Paisner.
They have the guy. It's an empty auditorium, an empty stage, the big booming voice, and the guy, and I cut out all the pauses, of course. The guy comes out. Just listen.
Welcome to the International Emmys.
Woo!
This year, streaming from New York City around the world. It is ironic and rather gratifying that although most of us cannot travel outside the borders of our own country, television programs continue to have an impact every place.
See, this is, do you not understand, sir? You're not even on television now. What are you talking about?
And today, as you can see, we are traveling virtually.
Woo!
The impact of technology on our world is great and growing. Disease may create boundaries and limitations, but technology knocks them down and gives us new and sophisticated ways to communicate with each other.
I mean, are these guys just now waking up and they've learned about YouTube?
Last spring, when the virus was new and out of control, and the people of New York were frightened at its relentless spread, one man took it upon himself to use technology to spread reliable information and tell citizens what to do.
Tell them what to do.
Governor Cuomo's daily press conferences were a whole new dimension in public education. He informed, he demanded, and he calmed people down. No one who saw it will easily forget it. The mountain, the boyfriend, the COVID test, and the gradually declining numbers.
I'll give these guys one thing. They definitely calm people down. But people in their 90s, like my aunt and uncle, Don, who wrote in the family newsletter and said, "We are so happy with Governor Cuomo. He is the shining light of this crisis." I think the people felt very good about that. So with that, yes, I agree. But a highlight of education, please.
Well, it wouldn't have bothered me so much if the guy wasn't so full of crap and then essentially killed all those 10,000 people in the convalescent homes and lied about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then covered it up with all kinds of stuff, so no one would be liable.
So okay, well, good. He deserves an Emmy. It'll be so he can go do his thing with his brother Chris.
Yeah,
and they can go back and forth on who has the better Emmy. I don't think Chris has one.
I would rather.
The reason I say that because if he did, it'd be right behind him at all times.
Yes,
hanging on the shelf there.
And I kind of like it that way, where brother Cuomo gets a bull crap Emmy, and this other guy can just grouse about it forever. Kind of like that. We've got an Oregon mink farm in trouble. Staff is infected with COVID-19. You know what that means? They're coming for your pets. It wasn't enough to have a couple of stories in Europe. Now it's here. They're going to cull them. They're going to kill the mink. And then they're coming for your dog. Just not going to stop.
So Jay took the dog, the basset hound we've got here, to the dog park.
Okay.
Now this dog
is that allowed? Is that allowed, or did she have to protest?
Oh yeah, the dog park was packed. She said
she didn't have to protest.
No.
Okay.
But the dog is antisocial. It doesn't like other dogs, but likes people and needs to be petted. Likes to be petted.
Mm-hmm.
This is the classic basset hound. They're all like this. They make a lot of noise too, and nobody would pet the dog. Oh no, can't pet it. No, COVID.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna give you COVID.
You touch a dog, you get COVID.
The simulation is real, people. We're really living in a simulation. I mean, it's mainstream media and social media, but it is a simulation. A lot of people are stuck in it. Really stuck.
I think we're.
Yeah, I think we're.
Wrap. We gotta.
There's not much else with COVID. Although there is one thing I need to bring to our attention. You probably already heard this. Jesse Coy Nelson, who has created over 100 end of show mixes throughout the pandemic, is obviously listening very closely to our show to pick out clips and put them into his end of show mixes. And he's noticed something else we both do, which he thinks we should be aware of. This is not the oh brother. It is not at the end of the day. It is.
I heard about this.
I think he has a point. We need to come up with some alternatives.
He's sitting in his car, but he's sitting in the passenger side, and he gives a big intro about why he's doing that because apparently
Skinny Joe. So Skinny Joe, apparently.
Some guy in Hong Kong supposedly got it again, and 4 people in all of Europe apparently.
Vegans apparently have twice as much sex as meat eaters.
All right, so
I think we get the idea. We're using apparently a lot.
Well, it's one of those lousy adverbs we should probably drop.
Yeah.
Completely. But it's going to take, that's a little tough because that's the flow of thing. That's a pace and flow word. And it's always used to, if you listen to the pace and flow where you are going to say something, then it's a moment of pausing. You would drop in apparently as a like a rim shot.
Well, it's also kind of a way of saying we don't really know because we're just reading whatever we're told or whatever we see.
That element's involved, but that's involved with everything we do. In fact, I'm going to read something that we're told. There's a note I want to read. It's about COVID. It'll be the last COVID thing I have to say.
Yeah.
This is from Julie T. She wrote, she contributed today, and it was with her. She and her husband are big No Agenda listeners. I've been sick with a virus for almost 2 weeks. The symptoms were low-grade fever, not ever reaching 100, and mild congestion. I had major body aches, which were miserable. The reason I'm going to read this is because it replies to my wife who had COVID, she thinks. But she never got tested. My wife said, I'm not going to get tested. She had lost her sense of smell and taste. She really didn't get that sick. But she said she's not going to get tested because one positive test in Clallam County, they just shut the whole county down, which is a problem in some of these little outposts. Just when I thought I was getting better, the fever returned and my asthma was triggered. If anything is going to trigger my asthma, it's a virus. But I haven't had my asthma triggered this badly in decades. I wanted to go to the doctor for meds, and they tried to convince me to go to the ER.
See, this is where she got smart.
I refused.
Yeah.
Because of the many reasons discussed on this show, as well as my many friends with terrible experiences once their loved ones were confined to the hospital. The doctor also wanted to give me a COVID test, which I refused. I couldn't stand the thought of something going up my nose when I'm already struggling for air. I asked her if the asthma treatment would be any different if I tested positive or negative, and she said no. You have recently talked on the show about people being embarrassed having a positive COVID test. I'm not embarrassed to test positive. Who cares? However, what I do want to avoid with a positive test is the pressure from literally everyone.
Yeah.
Will you be quarantining for 2 weeks? Will you be informing your son's school? My son has an in-person private school, which keeps pods home if there's been a positive test. Will your husband tell his work? Are you going to get medicine? And the questions and pressure goes on and on. When my medical condition when is it suddenly everybody else's business? So I'm not wanting to get a COVID test because 1, I don't trust the results anyway. And 2, I don't want to deal with the pressure. People stay out of my business. It is amazing how everyone wants to know if I've been tested. And if I had been tested, I would be pressured to give people an answer, even though it's my private medical information. I very well might have COVID, but I figure when my symptoms are gone, I'm no longer contagious. Isn't that true of all viruses that present with symptoms? So I'm avoiding testing to avoid the social pressure to answer the questions that come along with it. Nice little note.
Yeah, it's a good
Personal
note.
Experience.
And now, I'm not giving any advice here, but I personally think she might have dodged a big bullet by saying, no, that's okay. I'm not going to go to the ER, because you know what they want to do. They want to test you. They want to see you're seethingly infected. And then they want to throw you on a ventilator, especially with asthma.
And kill you.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is not medical advice, but I think she made a wise decision and she weighed her own risk. And she's right. What's interesting is when I hear someone tested positive, which is usually from my stepdaughter, my first question is, are they sick? And there's never an answer to that. Well, I don't know. They get tested positive, so they must be on death's door. Yeah. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen.
The No Agenda show has this kind of influence that for a person that really is more at risk from the system than they are from the virus.
Yeah.
Because we'll get a note tomorrow, my aunt died.
Yeah.
And they go on and on.
Well, this is the same with my sisters. I've got Willow in Firenze near Florence in Italy, and they've been locked down. They get out, they're locked down again, and it's so they had a 9-page obituary in the newspaper, and that really freaked her out. And I think one of their friends who was 60 and had lung issues died, and you can't. And when that happens to someone who was a close friend, and she was actually texting with him just 10 days before, and everything seemed fine. Then what happens is people go, "Oh, no, it's a killer. It's a killer," without really understanding, particularly looking at the excess death numbers. That no, actually, it could have happened in any other number of ways with that person. Again, not a doctor, but we can read.
Cracks.
Cracks?
Quack.
Oh,
Quack.
quack. Oh, quacks. Cracks. Quacks, yes. Quacks. And I think that's all we have. I think that's all we have on the Rona. Yeah, I think that's it for now.
Yeah. I would like to discuss some of the things going on with this election.
Oh, goody. Yes, I saw that you had some series of clips, and I think I have not listened to them. I have not seen, but I know what it's about. Are you going to launch into that? Because I'm interested.
Yes, I'm going to launch into the crackpot side of Trump's going to be stay in office.
Okay, and do I get to interject after? I want you to
interject anytime you want. I just don't want you to hijack the presentation.
No, I will not hijack the presentation.
Let's go with. Let's start with it. There's a group of people, and it turns out a lot of them are on this website. If you want to hear the great crackpots, they're all on Bright On. Bright On is a video channel that has all these different podcasts of some video, some not. And it has people like, and Bright On is owned by and run by Mike Adams.
Is it Brighty On? I think it's Brighty On.
It could be Bright On.
Yeah, Bright.
But it's Bright On to me.
Okay.
Mike Adams is the natural news guy, and we always are skeptical of natural news stories.
But he's the health ranger. Isn't he the health ranger?
He's the health ranger.
He's the health ranger. Yes. I love listening to the health ranger.
Well, I've got a bunch of Mike Adams clips I want to listen to because he is the real kingpin amongst this group. And there's a whole group of them. There's Gary Heaven. I've got something from him. Steve Quayle. There's this woman, Sheila Zielinski. There's this one guy who I'm really fascinated with, which is when I got a sheet of stuff from him. Let's see if I can find it. This guy is. I tried to get clips from this character. He's got a bunch of podcasts, and he's always on Brighty On. Also, his name's Jeffrey Prather. And I just want to read his bio.
Okay.
He is really out there. But if you read his bio, you start to scratch your head a little bit. Jeffrey Prather is a retired Army officer, and this is from his own website. And he's got pictures of himself and all this in military garb on the back of horses, choking out some guy.
Well, that's what you do.
Choking some guy out.
That's what you do.
Jeffrey Prather is a retired Army officer, ex-DEA special agent, former DIA intelligence officer turned whistleblower, and then targeted by the government.
Of course.
He's so targeted, I never heard of him. In addition to hosting his own call-in weekly talk show, The Prather Point, he is also a martial arts master and teacher, Apache wisdom teacher, kinetic quotient creator and trainer, firearms and horsemanship instructor, published author, SAG film actor, speaker, father, husband, and chaplain. And in his spare time, so that's kind of his background. So I looked into this guy as best I could. And he does have a LinkedIn page.
Now, are you going to play a clip from this guy? Or we're just going to read his bio.
I can't. I'm introducing because I'm introducing him as part of this cult. I said, and I've tried it. Believe me, I wanted to clip this guy. His bio and the rest of it's more entertaining than he is. He is just impossible to clip. He's one of those guys who never gets to the point.
Okay.
He's just impossible. I tried and tried. But most of it is summarized by Mike Adams. Mike Adams has the same. They're all the same, all these guys. But let's listen to Mike Adams. And this is about the election, where we're at, all that's coming down. This is the Mike Adams zero. You got to look for zero. This is zero intro.
No joke, full-on Bolshevik kinetic revolution to mass murder Trump supporters in the streets, which is something that, by the way, actor Robert De Niro just basically called for. I don't have the exact quote, but paraphrasing what he said today, Robert De Niro is calling for ethnic cleansing against white Christian people who are Trump supporters in America. So here we have Hollywood, losing their minds again. Now, some of these statements are coming from leftists because they think Biden has won and they think they're in power now. So now their true darkness is coming out, where they're like, kill all the Trump people, just kill them all. Oh, and criminalize Trump, prosecute him. You've heard this from other Democrats as well. They want to prosecute the entire Trump family, throw them all in jail, seize all their assets, and so on. I think it's awesome that they're saying this because, number one, I know that Trump is very likely going to win this.
Okay.
So that sounds, like, yeah, it was true. De Niro did come out with some stupidity, but he's an idiot. And Scott Adams has gone out that they're going to try to kill all the Trump people. 70 million people voted for Trump. I mean, this is nothing that it's okay. It's interesting kind of paranoia, and it makes some sense, and it's entertaining. It just gets a little more interesting when Adams goes into some of the things he's heard that are going to happen any minute now. And this is one of my favorite ones is right here. This is the Mike Adams 1, reparations.
Hold on a second. It's something in my eye. Hold on. I can't see. 1? Okay, yes, I'm sorry. I got it now. my eye clouded up.
The Democrats, they want Joe Biden in power, but the globalists, they don't. The globalists want to take down America. And by globalists, I mean people like George Soros and other international oligarchs and enemies of America, such as China, for example. They don't want America to exist at all as founded. So there are actually competing interests among the enemies of Trump. And this is why this is important. See, the Democrats, they love the idea of stealing the election and putting Joe Biden in the White House so they can push all of their crazy, insane left-wing agendas. And one of those that just surfaced today was this new idea pushed by some Biden people, I think, some Democrats who say, once Biden's in the White House, they want to seize farmland from farmers across America using eminent domain and then give out that land to black people and then have the USDA provide grant money to train those, reparations recipients to train them how to farm. Okay, so where to begin with how bad this idea is? Number one, why are they assuming that the farmland that they're going to be seizing isn't being seized from black farmers who are trying to make a living on their farmland? Why are they assuming that all farmers are white? There's plenty of black farmers across America, and they don't want their land seized.
All right.
Well, to be fair about what he's saying there was language in the HEROES Act that the House passed that had bullcrap in there, like the digital dollar, and it did include confiscation of farmland. I don't know about the white farmers, black farmers, or they're going to give it, but there was some language in there that related to that.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's just great. Let's go to Mike Adams 2A.
I'd like you to remember that term, irredeemably tainted, because I think we're going to see that term come up again. And when they say that, it's going to flip multiple states back to Trump. Trump's going to have 300 plus electoral votes. And then the violence is going to happen no matter what. But at that point, Trump will have the weight of the Supreme Court behind him, saying that, yes, the courts have said that I'm the president. Now I can deploy the military in order to keep the peace and take down the terrorists who are now trying to destroy America. You see, that's a very different situation for the president than doing so than deploying the military before a court has rendered a decision in his favor. Very different situations. And I think what the globalists are looking for is for Trump to make that decision early so that Obama can appeal to the United Nations and say, aha, Trump is a rogue military dictator and we need what? What term are you going to hear? Oh, international peacekeepers. We need international peacekeepers to come to America, Obama will say, the blue helmets, in order to free the American people from oppression. Oppression of who? Oh, oppression of this military dictator, Trump. That's going to be the narrative.
He got that from our show. He did. We played a clip about that. Don't you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it wasn't. This guy's taking it very seriously.
Well, do you want to hear the clip that we had? I'm not hijacking you. I'm just saying that this is.
Yes, you may do that.
Far too common in Chicago. Police investigating a shooting here.
And heavily armed United Nations peacekeepers operating in some of the most dangerous corners of the earth. Now there's a push to bring them here. Good evening. I'm Rob Johnson.
And I'm Erica Sargent, a county commissioner.
So you get it. It was a story in Chicago.
Yeah.
So he heard that from us.
Well, he's picked up the ball. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, clearly.
So let's go to part 2 of this 2B.
The oppressed people in America are the people who support Trump. So the UN narrative will only fly in the left-wing media that's pushing their alternate reality gaslighting thing, their theater. They will claim, America is being freed by UN troops. But in reality, as you and I know, UN troops will be running a kidnapping child sex trade operation as soon as they can. They'll roll into, I don't know, wherever they end up, Oregon or somewhere, Washington State, they'll roll into Washington. They'll just start kidnapping, teenagers off the streets and shipping them off to Europe for payment.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
So let's go to this is another lead into even better material. And by the way, this whole cult of people, including this, they're all on top of this. They all, yeah. They're just yeah about the whole thing. Let's go to lead in 3.
Food lines, because of course Democrats are shutting down farms in California and meat processing plants and food processing facilities all across the country. They're shutting down grocery stores in New Mexico. Just if 4 people test positive for COVID who were in the grocery store, even though the tests are false, they shut down the whole grocery store for 2 weeks. I mean, these are engineered food shortages, folks, so that the press, the international press, can say, look, the American people are starving under the authoritarian rule of Trump, the military dictator. And look, people are getting shot in the streets. It's going to be 100% lies. It's going to be, edited videotapes from CNN with completely out of context statements. But this is how America is going to be demonized by the world as Trump maintains a second term. Because you see, once Trump wins his second term, it's going to be America against the world. Because the globalists run Europe, they run Canada with that pansy-ass snowflake soy boy Justin Trudeau in charge in Canada. My God, every time I see that guy, I just want to kick him in the balls, don't you? Every time he speaks, just want to kick him in the balls. It wouldn't even change his voice, by the way. He speaks that way all the time. And Australia is all in with the globalists. And by the way, infiltrated by China. New Zealand, all in. Basically, New Zealand is a globalism, experiment island. It's like the island of Dr. Moreau or some crazy weird sci-fi Orwellian nightmare bullshit going on there. And then, of course, China is trying to destroy everybody who isn't a Chinese communist. And, what do you have? South America is still mostly socialist, run by a lot of crazy actual military dictators like Maduro, in Venezuela, and then you've got Cuba and so on. The world is a mess.
So I get that you're trying to let him make himself sound pretty crazy.
But he sounds pretty crazy to me.
But
well, if you didn't think that was great, let's go to clip 4 before we discuss any more of it.
The world is a mess. And America is the only real hope for human freedom around the world. So even when Trump establishes his second term, America is going to be in bloody domestic warfare. I don't know the best way to describe this. I'm trying to paint a picture for you so that you're ready for this. We're going to be in war on U.S. soil, very likely involving troops from other countries. And that doesn't even get involved in the Chinese troops that Governor Newsom will probably allow to land at the Long Beach port. You know, come on in, China, because, of course, China owns Governor Newsom. And they'll probably use California as a staging beachhead to launch attacks on the rest of America. So
I can't argue that they are people in political places of power in the United States who are crazy enough to dream this up, and who would want to do this, who could say, oh, well, if Trump prevails, then, oh, my, we have to bring in the blue helmets. I can't argue that much with him. It's just he seems to believe it a bit.
Let's go with the last clip from Mike, and then we got two other clips.
But you're going to need some actual combat ammo in this, because you're going to be at war with probably communist Chinese troops.
If he rolls into an ammo ad, I'm going to be very mad.
In California. And then those of you down at the southern border of California and Arizona, especially, you're going to be at war with the Mexican narcos rolling in with their Chinese-trained narco militant units and their armored vehicles. You know, they're up-armored Mad Max-looking drug-running, armored personnel narco vehicles. Have you seen those?
All right.
So he goes on. He already did the ammo ad. It was earlier.
Oh, he did.
I cut it out. He went on.
You should have left that in, because the ammo ad is a perfect setup.
It wasn't an ad. It was a long discussion about what type of point bullet you need.
No, to kill Chinese.
You're going to have to deal with these Chinese, because the Chinese, as you know, will be staging in
California,
Long Beach, down there, and nobody's going to care. Because it's just so this guy is as far as I'm concerned, he's got a couple of things that are kind of interesting, no agenda-y. He's insane. But let's go to Gary Heaven. He was on the Sheila Zelinsky show. This is ZEL clip one. I got two ZEL clips. I want this one and then the other one.
The Gary Heaven first?
This is another one. Let's do Gary Heaven first.
Great Reset. They intend to deal with the massive debt by repudiating debt, but in exchange for giving up having to pay your house note, you give up to the property that you own. They're going to deal with private property. And as you know, under the Communist Manifesto, people are not allowed to own things. And of course, you're going to be able to live in your house as long as you comply. And one of those compliance issues that are in our face right now is the vaccine. And I don't know if you saw in the media today where Qantas, and I fly Qantas frequently because I have property in Australia, Qantas is now going to require that you have proof of vaccination before you can fly on an airline. This is so imminent right now. This vaccination, it's not going to be mandated initially, but it's going to be so punitive if you don't have it, it's going to be very difficult to function. It's going to start with airlines and travel. Then it's going to be imposed in government jobs. It's going to be imposed on healthcare workers, just like the flu vaccine is right now. And then it's going to be ultimately imposed on going to the grocery store. And then eventually they'll take the ultimate step to make it mandatory. And if you don't get it, then you'll be incarcerated. And that's where the FEMA camps come in, which are all in place. We've all been talking about for years. So this series of events is upon us.
All makes sense.
It's too bad about the FEMA camps. But yeah, you can't argue that there is a push for a freedom pass.
That's what you argue about. All right, let's play this last clip. Steve Quayle. This is another one.
You and I that we have to become a member of the global GU, and I say to the United Nations, literally, if I had a place in God where I could call fire down from heaven on them, I would. I do pray against them that way because, again, ladies and gentlemen, they want you to eat insects. They really do. Or the new meat, you guys probably know this, they're having a new meat made from your own human cells. And they say, well, it's not cannibalism. It sure the blazes is. We've got the old statement coming true, can't resist. So eat your heart out has more meaning than it ever did philosophically or metaphorically. Go ahead, Mike.
Soylent Green. All right. Excellent.
Yeah. We're going to be eating ourselves. So this is a crowd of people that are all in with, I would say, Sidney Powell is like their hero. And, I'm kind of getting sick of Sidney Powell. And I know you're a fan. I mean, I kind of was a fan for a while, but, she's ineffective. She didn't get Flynn out. She got the judge worked up, and Trump had to bail Flynn out. Flynn to be in jail with Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell's real glory started back when she was a defender of Enron, the people that kept the rolling blackouts in California. She was their big defender. She was the defense attorney for Enron.
No, I think,
and bitched and moaned and went on the air all over the place about government overreach.
No, I think having read the book, you're incorrect about your assumption of what she did for Enron. What she did for Enron is save two executives who had been screwed by, what's his name, Wasserman, who shut down Arthur Anderson. It's not like she was defending Enron. The people who needed to go to jail didn't, and the people who really had no role and were only doing as they were asked to do, that's who she defended. But okay.
Now, whose story was this?
What do you mean?
It's her story. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'm done with her.
Oh, well, that's too bad because I got clips from her.
No, I think it's good. I have a clip from her. I want to play my clip. I have a clip of her. This is the. I picked this clip off the Twitter. I just got a kick out of it. This is her, and I want to hear your clips. This is her random check stubs clip, which I just thought was okay. Well, they got check stubs. Well, let's see these check stubs. Put them online.
He's got pictures of the check stubs paid to people to ballot harvest and do fraudulent voting. So this year was every means and manner of fraud that you can possibly imagine, and many that you could never imagine.
So how many fraudulent votes do you think that Joe Biden had on his side of the slate?
Probably at least 10 million.
10 million fraudulent votes?
Probably.
And how many
more?
And President Trump lost 7 million votes. And how many dead people? How many votes of dead people were cast? Do you think?
We're still tracking down that data to see if what we've been provided is real. But if it is correct, it's several million.
Okay.
All right, that seems reasonable. We got 10 million fraudulent votes. I don't see any wins on the good boy side. And I believe there's 2 million dead people voting in California every election, so that's probably true too. But okay. But where's the wins here? Where's the tide turning? I'm not seeing any positive anything happening. It's all being held up. I don't know why.
Okay. So good. I think you went a little too deep into Mike Adams. I really don't just to prove that Sidney. I think that Sidney Kraken Keeper is a nut job.
Mike Adams thing was not about Sidney.
Well,
it was just to show that there's a side to this that's just as nutty as the woman in the green screaming no after Trump won against Hillary.
Oh yeah, totally. I think, but to be fair, a lot of those things we have discussed from serious news stories. He's putting it all together. But yeah, you connect that nuttiness to her. That's good because there's a lot of nutty people out there who you will not like, and I have clips of all of them. What is your Fareed Zakaria clip? Because I have the clip. I have a clip. Yours says sweetened. Is that better? What is yours?
Yeah, my clip will be better. This is a clip that was recommended for us by everybody. Everyone said, he said it's CNN. This is Zakaria explaining what all the right-wing talk show guys have explained months ago about how it's possible under some screwball circumstances that will never take place, how Trump could win without really winning.
He did this in September, and I think it's exactly what is going to happen.
That are legal and constitutional, that could enable... That are legal and constitutional...
Okay, why is your clip restarting? Your clip has the same thing.
that could enable Trump to stay in office without actually winning the vote. The system of electing the president is complicated because it was not designed to be directly democratic. The Constitution calls for states to choose the presidential electors, who in turn gather to vote for the president. Over time, states have passed laws that ensured their state's popular vote for the presidency would determine the electors. But those are laws, not a constitutional obligation. Now, imagine the scenario during election week. Trump is leading on November 3rd, but Joe Biden pulls ahead in the days following. Republicans file objections to tens of thousands of mail-in ballots. Democrats file countersuits. Taking account of the confusion, legislators decide to choose the electors themselves. Here's the worry. Of the 9 swing states, 8 have Republican legislatures. If one or more decide that balloting is chaotic and marred by irregularities, they could send what they regard as the legitimate slate of electors, which would be Republican. Democrats may object and file lawsuits. In some of those states, Democratic governors or secretaries of state could send their own slates of electors to Washington. That would add to the confusion, but that might well be part of the Republican plan. Because you see, when Congress convenes on January 6th to tally the electors' votes, there would be challenges to the legitimacy of some electors. It's possible congressional Republicans could decide that disputed states should simply not be counted. Suppose in this scenario, Michigan's votes are invalidated. That would ensure that neither candidate would get to 270 electoral votes. At that point, the Constitution clearly directs that the House of Representatives vote to determine the presidential election. But it does so with each state casting a single ballot. If the current numbers hold, there would be 26 state delegations that are Republican and 23 Democratic, with one tied. So the outcome would be to re-elect Donald Trump. Trump doesn't need to do anything other than to simply accept this outcome, which is constitutional.
Aw, crap.
I really enjoy that you filled up your lack of argument with sound effects. Because this is, of course, exactly what can happen. And I think there's a distinct possibility it will happen.
There is no possibility this is going to happen.
Okay. But don't hijack my presentation either, if you don't mind.
I don't have anything left.
You will. First.
No, I don't have anything left in my arsenal of clips.
Okay, but it's not acceptable just to say it's bullcrap. You know, I'm going to argue why I think this has a very good chance of working. And first, let's understand, for people who listened to that Fareed Zakaria clip and didn't understand, the United States, the citizens of the United States do not vote for the president. That's the point of what is going on here. It is the Electoral College, and it's understood by the left and by Hollywood, as I will remind you of this clip from 2016. On December 14th, the day the Electoral College was going to certify the vote for Trump versus Hillary Clinton, the actors came out and did this.
Republican members of the Electoral College, this message is for you. As you know, our founding fathers built the Electoral College to safeguard the American people from the dangers of a demagogue and to ensure that the presidency only goes to someone who is to an eminent degree endowed with the requisite qualifications.
An eminent degree. Someone who is highly qualified for the job.
The Electoral College was created specifically to prevent an unfit candidate from becoming president.
There are 538 members of the Electoral College. You
and just 36 other conscientious Republican electors can make a difference.
By voting your conscience on December 19th.
And thereby shaping the future of our nation.
I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton.
I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton.
I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton.
As you know, the Constitution gives electors the right to vote for any eligible person.
Any eligible person, no matter which party they belong to.
But it should certainly be someone you consider especially competent.
Especially competent to serve as President of the United States of America.
All right, so the full clip is in the show notes. It goes on for another minute, but you get the idea. There was
a classic.
Yeah, it was an appeal for the Electoral College, which I learned from you years ago that exactly what I think Martin Sheen said, the Electoral College is a safeguard. So if some nut job or someone completely incompetent, i.e. Joe Biden, is on deck to become president, that the Electoral College can go save that. It's really not that many people. So this is savable for President Trump.
Well, it has worked.
Yes, it has worked several times in the past. It has. There's been some
worked
deals.
With Hillary. Hillary was kept out of the office because of the Electoral College.
Correct. Even though, from everything I've now come to learn, there was similar vote fraud, digital vote fraud in 2016. And what happened this time around is they amped it up too high. They set their algorithms, their vote switching algorithms too high. It became evident that this was going to be not apparent, evidently, ostensibly, and presumably going to be noticeable that these votes were switched back and forth. And that's why counting had to stop and ballots had to come in. And what's online is not check stubs, but there is circumstantial evidence of Chinese ballots being printed. They are different. This is in all of the legal filings. There's for each of these swing states, there's a 76-page lawsuit which has been filed by typically the electors who are going to vote in the Electoral College. But Lynn Wood, of course, is one of these, and Sidney Powell herself. And it's more or less the same lawsuit that's being filed. And the affidavits and what they present is definitely enough for a hearing. What you're hearing in the mainstream news of Trump lost this, is no good, didn't win this, everything is being blocked, it's not working, is explained well in a fast tempo by Viva Fry.
Some of the other ones have been dismissed on questions of standing. Now, appreciate that. Standing is not a question of evidence. And in the context of motions to dismiss, you don't present evidence. The judge takes the allegations for granted in the lawsuit and then comes to a determination as to whether or not there is a cognizable claim in law based on the drafting of the allegations. Evidence has not been presented. And when the judge denied standing and dismissed the lawsuits because the plaintiffs don't have standing, it wasn't anything to do with any evidence of fraud. It was that the plaintiffs in law did not have the requisite legal interest to bring the suit. That is the issue. So when people tell you they haven't presented any evidence of fraud despite the opportunity to have done so in 35 lawsuits, they never got to the stage of presenting evidence.
Right. And the affidavits and that are in the lawsuit are very detailed. They have defense intelligence agents signing sworn affidavits of what they have seen of the inner workings of the systems. There is historically so many news stories about specifically Smartmatic, Dominion. This has been around. Even the Democrats have complained about it. This time they just pushed it too far. Now, I could explain every single one of these points of the ballot stuffing, of the vote switching, of the fake ballots coming in, there's again, it's 76 pages. I thought it would be easier to give 2 minutes to Diamond and Silk and let them run through it for me, probably more entertaining.
I want people to understand voter fraud. Voter fraud is this here: impersonating fraud at the polls, false registrations, duplicate voting, fraudulent use of absentee ballots, buying votes, illegal assistance at the polls, ineligible voting, like illegal aliens voting in this here, dead people voting, altering the vote count, ballot petition fraud. Those are some of the fraudulent activities. And if any of those activities took place in this election, that is voter fraud.
That's right.
Now, there's a difference between voter fraud and election fraud. I just explained voter fraud, but election fraud is when you talk about the system.
The system.
Like the systems that's being used and how the votes are tabulated and how the votes was pulled from Donald Trump and given to Biden. That's the fraud inside of the system.
That's right.
So it's two things that we look like we're fighting here.
It is.
It's voter fraud and election fraud.
So then that brings me to two questions that I have. I want to know, what was the legal reason for stopping the voting on election night? You know that everything, all all of a sudden came to a screeching halt.
Right.
You know, there was no natural disasters. There was no war or no act of terrorism. Was the machines broken? And then how did everybody decide to stop in several different states all at the same time?
Not only that, in Georgia, they was reporting 99%.
Yeah.
It should have been called for President Trump, and it was not.
Another thing, who authorized the removal of Trump votes, okay, at a particular time, the votes that was allocated to Trump? So, you know, when they're counting the votes, those votes are tallying up their additions. They're being added. But according to the timestamp entry from the New York Times, who got their data information from Addison Research, in Pennsylvania on November the 3rd at 11:08 p.m., President Trump all of a sudden lost 17,877 votes. It was removed from his count. While at the same time, Biden gained 17,930 votes. So what I want to know is if these votes were deleted or removed from President Trump's tally amount at 11:08 p.m. on November the 3rd, who authorized it?
Wow.
So this alternative media blitz, which includes many other characters, is causing concern. It is causing questions. There is confusion. And I think the Electoral College can be influenced. And all that needs to happen is for one or two states to say, no, we can't certify because there's these problems. And here's this laundry list. And it turns out to be the same in all these other states. I only have 4 Sidney Powell clips. They're short. We'll just catch up with her. This was the beginning of the week.
Let me ask you about the state of Georgia. Obviously, yesterday, the governor there, he certified the election for Joe Biden. It's about 12,000 votes. And what you see, will Georgia switch?
Yeah, that's a total farce. Georgia's probably going to be the first state I'm going to blow up, and Mr. Kemp and the Secretary of State need to go with it because they're in on the Dominion scam with their last-minute purchase or award of a contract to Dominion of $100 million. The State Bureau of Investigation for Georgia ought to be looking into the financial benefits received by Mr. Kemp and the Secretary of State's family about that time.
And her lawsuit in Georgia is indeed specifically against the governor and the Secretary of State, and these allegations are in there. This has to be addressed one way or the other.
One of his new characters was introduced.
Ah, shit. That's Jimmy Kimmel. He came back again. Crap. How did I just lose that? Jimmy Kimmel kind of has your attitude towards Powell. So I don't want to compare you with him, but he's very much on the same tip.
One of his new characters was introduced last week and then killed off suddenly this weekend. Her name is Sidney Powell. She's a lawyer. She was pushing a conspiracy theory that said the governor of Georgia, who's both a Republican and a big Trump supporter, was bribed by the voting machine company to throw the election to Joe Biden. I guess that was too much even for Donald Trump, because a week after he welcomed Sidney Powell to what he described as a truly great legal team, the campaign put out a statement saying Sidney Powell is practicing law on her own. She is not a member of the Trump legal team. She's also not a lawyer for the president in his personal capacity.
So she's making these allegations. I don't see any countersuits, and she's really going after the governor and the Secretary of State in Georgia.
Well, you have promised a Kraken will be unleashed. We were expecting perhaps your suit would be filed yesterday or today. When shall we expect your lawsuit?
Well, I think no later than tomorrow. It's just going to be, it's a massive document, and it's going to have a lot of exhibits.
And who will be the defendant or defendants?
The defendants are going to be folks in Georgia who are responsible for supposedly making sure the elections in Georgia are done properly. And there are just countless incidents of voter fraud and election fraud writ large in Georgia.
Right. So she said that on Wednesday, and it came out on Friday. And the final one is she doubles down once again on Georgia.
What about your implication?
I'm sorry?
You just had an implication. You said, I don't see any countersuits. Well, there's no chance there's no time for a countersuit yet.
Okay, we'll wait for it. But when you say these things in public, there's a libel thing. You can't just run around saying these people are corrupt and have been bribed. I would think I would say,
drop the bomb that 10 minutes later. It takes sometimes a month to put a libel suit together.
Okay, but at least I would protest a little bit.
Some people say that the president's team distanced themselves from you because, in part, of the accusations you made. You said you had evidence suggesting that the governor of Florida, of Georgia, the Republican governor, was involved in a conspiracy. I'm wondering if, upon reflection, that's something you stand by and something you'll continue to pursue.
Well, what I've said, and I thought I said and intended to say, is there should be an investigation, a thorough criminal investigation, frankly, of everyone involved in acquiring the Dominion system for the state of Georgia, and frankly, for every other state, given how appalling the system is and the fact that it was designed to manipulate the votes and destroy the real votes of American citizens who were casting legal votes. That applies to Georgia as well. I have serious concerns that certain people, in fact, one lawyer told me that one of his clients knew of money or benefits being paid to family members of those who signed the contract for Georgia. And I believe it was a no-bid contract that Georgia awarded for the Dominion systems, a $100 million no-bid contract. And I think there are multiple people in the Secretary of State's office in Georgia and others who should be investigated in Georgia for what benefits they might have received from giving Dominion the $100 million no-bid contract.
Now, I suspect that she has the goods on at least someone or a family member, and we know this does happen. Hello, Bidens. And she'll come out with that in the next 2 weeks, and that may trip everything down the line. Might not. On Thanksgiving, President Trump did a press conference, which was a very odd one. It was an odd room. It was a small table, not very presidential, and he was answering questions. And the only clip that really made any noise was when some reporter said something, which I know I've listened to this clip 10 times. I've seen the right-wing media. Oh, disgraceful! Disgraceful! What's it? I haven't found any transcript or anyone tells me what this disgraceful question was, but this is the only thing you saw from that press conference.
So, no, I can't say that at all. I think it's a possibility. They're trying to look between you people. Don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way. All right, I'm going to go with another question. Go ahead.
Do you have any idea what was said there? What pissed him off so much? Did you catch any?
No, I'd zip.
Because that's the thing. You go and everyone's disgraceful. He's horrible. Even Cuomo. Yeah, the president's right. The press is disgraceful. But we don't know what the disgraceful question was. That's okay because that was the distraction. And this is when this all works out, as I hope it does, it's going to solve my biggest pet peeve, which I'm so excited about. This is really what. I'm sorry?
About using the word pod?
No.
Oh.
It's a similar word that I hate.
Massive fraud has been found. We're like a third world country. We're using computer equipment that can be hacked. They talk about glitches. How many glitches did they find? So a glitch. Oh, gee, we had a glitch. 5,000 votes. In all cases, right? In all cases, the votes went from Trump to Biden. They didn't go from Biden. The glitches were never from Biden to Trump. So they had many glitches, and they said, we had a glitch.
Oh, yeah.
A glitch is like the equipment is a little broken. We'll fix it up. Now, a glitch is, in this case, we caught them cheating. We caught them stealing. We caught a fraudulent effort to get votes. And they said, oh, yes, it's true, there was, and there were many of them. But here's the problem. There were probably 10, 20, 30 times that didn't get caught. We just got lucky and caught numerous of them. But what that is very simple. If you look at the glitch means, right? It means, oh, we got caught with the votes. And now, let's just call it a glitch. It wasn't the machinery. And by the way, the machinery, if you look, just take a look anywhere on the internet, you will see many, many people where they're experimenting with this stupid machinery, where if you set it a certain way, the votes go from Trump to Biden.
So this is the defense of Dominion voting systems and Smartmatic software and whatever companies are involved in that. It was just a glitch. And indeed, the one glitch that they caught was a vote switch. And so now if you go back, you'll see that these glitches, which is perfect because we've been set up as morons of technology for years, that a glitch, oh, it's just a glitch. Yeah, Amazon went down. It's just a glitch. We've been taught and trained to just think beyond that. Oh, it's a glitch.
Softened up.
Yeah, we softened up. There's no fraud. There's no corruption. It's a glitch. Shut up, man. He was on Maria Bartiromo this morning, and I recorded it. I was going to clip it, but he basically went on for 10 minutes about glitches. So this is the word glitch. We're going to understand what a glitch really is, hopefully by the end of all this. And there were all kinds of other anomalies.
Or not,
maybe not. But at least I'm showing some things that could really happen because it's actually being talked about. Dominion workers were everywhere in these voting places, and they were left alone, and they could do whatever they wanted. These were not, as far as I know, not official or election officials. There's also some unfortunate news of 48 USB drives gone missing, and they actually had votes on them, images of votes, which now may or may not be able to be counted. But here's the Maricopa, Arizona, Maricopa Director of Election Day and Emergency Voting, talking about these Dominion workers, and they were necessary to have there. These are things we probably should have known before Election Day.
Were there Dominion personnel who were at the elections department able to move about freely? Can you speak to that? Because that's another thing that I've heard about.
So, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gates, so Mr. Valenzuela and I both oversee the central count tabulation system. And yes, there were Dominion employees working in our tabulation center. And I equate Dominion, they are the subject matter experts. I value that partnership, this contractual relationship, the decisions, the work that they make that's done under the oversight of both Mr. Valenzuela and myself and our tabulation team. But it's like any private-public partnership. We rely on the best in class, the subject matter experts to do the work. You could look back through the history of America, and these private-public partnerships are what make great options for people to use. Our telephone systems, the internet. Here in Phoenix, we look at Phoenix Sky Harbor, right? The city of Phoenix owns the airport, but we don't have the city of Phoenix employees flying planes, right? We have these private companies that bring in their planes. They hire the pilots. They hire the experts to fly. We as passengers trust that these experts are going to get us to our destination safely. And that is the case with Dominion. These individuals know the software better than us. They train our employees through the contractual relationship. We rely on their expertise to ensure that we can provide a accurate, reliable election for Maricopa County voters.
Yeah, so you'll hear him continuously refer to them. They are the subject matters of this. They are the subject matters. It's going to be pinned on those guys. And why do they need to know the software? Why do they? Shouldn't just be working? Isn't this hard coded? Should we have any questions? No. These things have been abused and used all over the world, and now they've just turned it on our own country, which is CIA versus DIA, and the moves have been taking place since December of 2018, when an executive order was issued that any tampering, anything with electronic voting machines would immediately be taken up by the Defense Intelligence Agency, and people who were involved in that would be seen as terrorists. And the moves are everywhere, including the move, as we discussed, of the special operations from the CIA to Ezra Cohen, what's-his-face, who is now reports directly to the Secretary of Defense. And there's other moves being made in the Pentagon. This kind of went unnoticed, but not to me.
Another Pentagon official leaving his post. Top intelligence official Joseph Kernan resigning tonight. 4 senior officials at the Pentagon now have been fired or resigned in just over the past 24 hours, including the defense secretary, person at the top of the entire chain, Mark Esper. Also breaking tonight, CIA Director Gina Haspel meeting with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell as her fate hangs in the balance. Barbara Starr is out front from the Pentagon. Barbara, what are your sources telling you about this shakeup? I mean, 4 senior people gone in just a day.
Well, good evening, Aaron. All indications are these 4 officials, basically the victims, if you will, the recipients of the White House deciding to clean house for political reasons. There seems to be no other explanation at the moment. In fact, the policy chief now being replaced by a Trump loyalist who has advocated conspiracy theories in the past.
Oh, there you go.
So there is a lot of dismay and outright anxiety up and down the Pentagon hallways right now. One official is saying they believe the beheadings, that's the word they're using, the political beheadings, obviously, are done for now. Another official telling me that it's scary, that it's unsettling, that these are dictator-type moves. That's the kind of language we are hearing from people tonight here in the Pentagon. And one of the reasons is because there's just not a clear understanding of what the president intends to do next. Why is he really replacing all these people? And does he have some sort of agenda to use the military, to use the Pentagon that nobody understands, that has not been made public yet? Anxiety that I just haven't seen this type of thing here in the past.
Yeah, so things are being shaken up over there at the Pentagon, and he's thrown out Madeleine Albright from the Defense Advisory Board. These are all these cushy jobs. This is probably the draining of the swamp, and when you do that, then people are left standing, and one of them is retired Air Force General McInerney, who we know confirmed that the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and or with Special Operations did raid the server farm in Frankfurt that was being protected by the CIA, and he confirmed it again 2 days ago.
The U.S. Special Forces Command seized a server farm in Frankfurt, Germany, because they were sending this data from those 5 states or 6 states through the internet to Spain and then into Frankfurt, Germany. Special Operation Forces seized that facility, so they have those servers. Well, I've heard it didn't go down without incident. I haven't been able to verify it. I want to be careful in that. It's just coming out. But I understand my initial report is that there were U.S. soldiers killed in that operation.
So the reports I've seen is 5 of the special operations were killed. 1 of the CIA defenders was killed.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but let's don't use Thomas McInerney as any sort of a clip ever.
Why not?
This guy is he's a very distinguished guy. He has a great background until he finally retired around, let's see, when did he retire? I have his dossier.
A couple
here.
Years ago.
No, it was more than that. He's been in the private sector since 1990 something. He was on Fox 144 times. Staunch advocate for the Iraq War. In 2002, he said the military campaign of Iraq would be shorter than the 42 days it took to complete the Persian Gulf. Big-time hawk. He's on the board of directors of a bunch of contractors, Alloy Services, Kilgore Flares, Nortel Government Solutions, Panama. He's a big-time board of director military guy. In 2008, it was revealed that McInerney received email communications from the Pentagon with talking points that he should use to defend the Bush administration in his TV appearances. He only ever appeared on Fox. It goes on and on. This guy is very sketchy, and anything he comes up with is bull crap. I forget his. He retired in 1994, which is not a couple of years ago.
Okay. No, you're right.
It's just this guy's no good.
No, you're right. I would take the Mike the Health Ranger over him any day. But he's not the only guy who called in.
I wasn't. Oh, you think I played the Mike the Health Ranger stuff as a plus?
No. I'm just making a joke. You're really all testy about this.
I'm very testy about it because I'm fed up with all this bull crap because it's just making things worse.
And
none of this is going to happen. Everything you played from Sidney Powell was innuendo. Innuendo is all I'm getting on this side of the argument. There's no proof of anything. Well, it's just, I think he did this. I think he did that. Oh, it looks like this. It looks like that. And then you say the mainstream media is actually not covering any of this. They're basically bailed out from even discussing it, which I agree with you on that.
I have read the lawsuits, and there is definitely proof. So, I mean, just because you haven't read them doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, and it's in the court
just because
system.
I haven't read them, but when they get thrown out because the person doesn't have standing, that's not a minor thing.
But those weren't those lawsuits, John. Those were completely different lawsuits. Those had nothing to do with this.
What evidence is in these lawsuits besides mathematical statistical data?
Look, the whole point of playing Diamond and Silk is so that we don't go through 76 pages. And there's testimony from intelligence agents and from other people who have a lot riding on it for these sworn affidavits. So there is definitely enough evidence to have at least some form of a trial. And I think it will happen. If not, if there's no trial, there's a distinct possibility Electoral College will not use the certified vote tally. So I understand you're tired of it and you're sick and tired of it, but what else are we going to do here? I mean, I have nothing else to go on. That's the news right now. We've already debunked all the bull crap, COVID crap. This is what's taking place. Okay, he's a kook. He's a nut job. So is my Uncle Don, who's a kook and a nut job. But there's still some stuff in these people that is worth listening to, regardless of how old they are or when they retired.
Well, even when you played the McInerney clip, he says, well, I can't verify this. I can't. Again,
I
was
know.
A lot of second and third hand information.
I know. But so?
There's nothing on these servers.
You're just saying that, and you don't know that at all. You have no idea. You're just saying that.
Exactly the same as he did.
Right, but at least I brought a clip of someone saying it. Here's Flynn, first time since his pardon.
We have clear paths to victory for this president, and frankly, he's going to win Pennsylvania. He's going to win Arizona. He's going to win Georgia. He's going to win Nevada. He's going to win Michigan. And the other one that he's probably going to pull in is Wisconsin too, because there's a discrepancy in Wisconsin of 130,000 fraudulent ballots that they just found. They just discovered.
Now, please tell me General Flynn is a nut job. Please, I need to hear it from you. He's a crazy nut job, has no standing, no credibility. Defended by the crazy Enron lady.
I don't think he's a nut job.
Defended by the crazy Enron lady. That's what you're saying.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go, it's just nothing like, just kind of over-exaggerate my position.
No,
my position is this is a lot of innuendo. I'm seeing a lot of talk and no action. I see no victories. And then there's this last-ditch thing that, the Electoral College is going to change things just the way Hollywood hoped. None of this is going to happen.
Okay, you're saying that without evidence, on baseless claims.
No, it's because I don't see any evidence that's going to stop it. It's already been determined. Biden won.
No, okay, you're going to eat those words because I think you're wrong.
You obviously think I'm wrong.
Yes. And you think I'm wrong. Except I don't go off about
you're wrong
about how you're bored and Sidney Powell's a nut job. You don't want to hear it anymore. And never.
No, you can go on and you repeat yourself with these assertions. It's beside the point. I think you're wrong. You think I'm wrong. I think Biden's going to win this thing and be sworn in on January 20th. You think no, that's not going to happen. It's going to get somehow reversed through all these various paths of victory.
Yes.
I just don't, not seeing it.
First
I don't
of all,
see any evidence of it.
There's nothing to be reversed because until December 14th, there is no president-elect. So that's just a media thing, which typically is good, but in this case is not good.
I didn't use the term president-elect.
Here is what I think the strategy is. It will be blamed, the ballot stuffing and the voting machine fraud, and it will tie into coronavirus in one grand presentation where everyone gets to hate China. I think that will be if it's going to work, I don't know. But that would be the way it's going to play out. And I think Flynn is planning this in his part, whatever his part is. And let's also recognize his part in the timing of that is not coincidental.
What we have seen is and I know this, over the last probably 2 decades and probably longer, I could, give you a little bit of a history lesson in that, but I won't. But over the last couple of decades, what we have seen is a complete shift in how fast I believe that Communist China, in their long-term plan, decided that to sort of move up their plans to become the global superpower, sole global superpower on the planet. And their sort of plan was by about the middle of this century that we're in right now. And I believe during the last 2016 election, when they didn't get the candidate that they needed and the kind of ideology that they saw America moving towards, they were not going to allow 2020 to happen. And so now what we have is this theft with mail-in ballots, the theft with this software, Smartmatic software and these Dominion systems. These are systems that are not owned by this country. They're not owned by this country. They're owned by they were introduced into this country. How can we say, as the United States of America, how can we say that we accept a system that is not made in this country, and not even in many of the cases the ballots aren't even tallied in this country? How can we say that here in this country that we accept that?
Now, Trump may not succeed. I do feel that this is important for the United States and other countries who use these systems to let's kind of recognize that this is not working anymore. So this would be a good thing to have this looked into. What I'm a little befuddled by is your anger about this topic, which it was very apparent on Thursday. I don't understand why you're so angry about it.
I'm not angry. I'm just annoyed that this is continuing in this kind of futile effort. And by the way, it should be noted that the Dominion Systems, which is Toronto-based at the moment, even Canada doesn't use these things.
Yeah.
They are used for, Canada does hand counts. That's what they make a big stink about. We don't use these tallying devices.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we do, and the fact that we've bought into all this, and the fact that the Republicans have been snookered, I think this election it's obviously been twisted, although there's been set up to be twisted. In 2016, where we're told, and it was emphasized that, Georgia's going to turn blue. Georgia's going to turn blue. And then in the midterms, Georgia was kind of blue. They voted in a bunch of Democrats. And Stacey Abrams almost won that election where she was going to become governor. And then finally they turned blue. This is not a big surprise. I've run into a lot of people who are major Republicans, including the guy who's the governor of Maryland, who we discussed on the show recently. They turned against Trump. This friend of mine, who Mimi won't even speak to anymore, a strong Republican strategist, and he was in a consultancy that he owned that was all just a Republican-oriented thing. He said months ago that he was voting for Biden. Mimi won't talk to him anymore. There's a lot of this that's going on. Biden could have actually won this election. Trump dropped the ball. He screwed up, and nobody wants to admit it. They want him back.
Okay, so the story, to counter that, what you just said, and I'm not saying I believe any of this. I'm just following what I read, and I put it together and I present it, is that they saw it in 2016. Trump, as we know, did not really expect to win. He won. He saw that he had struck a nerve. But also, everybody kind of understands that there's voter fraud has been going on for maybe 50 years or maybe forever in the United States. But now they started to ramp it up. They failed. I'm just telling you the story. They failed in 2016. That's why in 2018, Trump, according to the theory, set everything up with this huge executive order, which gives huge leeway to the military intelligence to track this vote, to track this election. And it may have been done shoddily, but the idea is they tracked the ballots coming from China, and there's story after story, and it's in the lawsuits of ballots with the wrong watermarks. I don't think they're QFS blockchain off-world interstellar satellite tracked watermarks, but there's definitely watermarks that are wrong. They set everybody up with the to monitor the actual electronic voting, and they're going to try this gambit, which would, I think, if you look at the real numbers, and this is what I mean by the simulation, it is entirely possible that in the United States, and maybe the world, but in the United States, 70 million people voted for Trump, 45 or 50 million voted for Biden, and that we've just been trapped in this social media minority of people who yell on Twitter and on television, believing that we're all crazy. Where actually, I think America may be more MAGA country than anybody realizes. That is actually true. And we'll see. But we still have to stick on this story for at least the next 2 weeks until the 14th, and maybe all the way until the inauguration day.
Well, I don't mind it.
As long as it's not Sidney Powell.
I don't see my position changing.
Your position is fine. That's okay. I just don't understand when you are just not, you seem not even interested in hearing it. I know you're tired of it.
I'm more interested in hearing it than you can imagine.
Okay.
Except that but then I look back and I start listening to when I start listening to the mics and all these other kind of screwballs, and then I keep hearing, coup d'etat, coup, and they're calling it a coup, and it's really based on an election. They don't even know the definition of coup d'etat refers to a military takeover of a government by force and violence. There's no force and violence involved in this election.
I know, but you're listening to Mike the Health Ranger. I mean,
I'm listening to a lot of different things. I listen to both sides. I'm sick of Sydney.
That's clear. Way. You're very sick of Sydney, and I
think can see why they're not putting her on anything. It's like, well, I don't know if she's being. I'm also. Now I think about it, I'm sick of a lot of these right wingers that are just, they're going on with the same thing. It starts with Joe DeGenova. I mean, for years we've been hearing about this guy. He's been on about his 10,000 sealed indictments any minute now, and it's all part of the same Q nonsense. It's just embarrassing.
To whom?
It's embarrassing to anybody who has any common sense. These things are conspiracy. This is beyond conspiracy. It is insanity.
Well, call me insane. I'm not on the.
I'm not talking about you. You're the one that debunked Q when it first came out. What made you change your mind?
I didn't change my mind. I haven't said anything.
You're the one that thought Joe DeGenova is full of crap.
Did I mention him? Have I mentioned him in the past week?
No, I know. I'm saying this is the same guys in the same cult, all in the same group that are all saying the stuff that now you're expressing.
No. That's not true. I have not expressed any of what those guys may be listening to what I'm saying. I don't listen to them. I don't watch Mike the Health Ranger. I never have. I've never brought a clip of Mike the Health Ranger. I'm not interested in Mike the Health Ranger. And that to me is way over the top nut job. Is it possible? Yeah, we've played clips where people are talking about international peacekeepers in Chicago and we laugh about it. The thousands of sealed indictments, it's become a punchline. But that doesn't mean that everyone is wrong and they need to be summarily dismissed. This, for sure, will be the last time we have to think about Sidney Powell or Victoria Toonsing or Joe DeGenova or Rudy Giuliani after January 20th, we probably won't have to think about it ever again, because either we won't have to think about it or we'll have to be thanking them. One of the two is going to happen.
They will be back.
Well, then that will just be pathetic, because we'll be too busy building back better with Joe, and I'm very excited about his low-rent politician administration that he's putting together. And we'll talk about that after I thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in, crummy, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning, you in more ships, sea boots, and grumpy in the air, subs, the water, dames, and nights out there.
And in the morning to the trolls. Oh, yeah, you're there, 2147. I knew you guys would show up. Thank you very much. Good to see you at noagendastream.com. That is where we can find all the trolls hanging out in our troll room. It's a chat room, but it's occupied by trolls. And they're crummy trolls at that. But we do love them, and they sit there and listen 24 hours a day to live shows. We do the show live on Thursdays and Sundays. We got podcasts that roll in the meantime. We got live music shows from. It's just from.
We have live music shows.
Yeah, it's the 00, the 00 show from. Who does that again? My memory is shot. They'll tell me.
Well, let's thank a few people.
Well, I got to wait. But wait, you're going too fast, because I need to say that we also have at noagendasocial.com Rhino the Bearded. He does that. That's right, Rhino the Bearded. NoAgendaSocial.com is where you can come and yell at each other and do your own little No Agenda show in text. The algos won't amplify the bullcrap. You'll just stay nicely in tune with where you are. And it's free for all, a service from the No Agenda Show and the producers who keep it running. Hello, at Aaroner, I see you. That's NoAgendaSocial.com. And now, let's thank our executive and associate executive producers for episode 1299, one shot.
Don't you want to thank the artists? Don't you thank the artists?
Well, you threw me off. You were already going straight through it. Let's thank the artist for episode 1298. Do you know who it is? Thank you. It's bullshit. Now are you fucker? You asshole. Yes, we want to thank Mountain Jay for the lovely Thanksgiving cover. We actually spent 30 minutes looking for something, I think. We went
It was ridiculous. It was, and then I find, okay, well, that brings us to a pet peeve.
Okay.
So, there was a piece, I do a site search on Google using site:"noagendaartgenerator.com and the word Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, right, all right.
And that's how I got the art for the newsletter. And so we do it, and there's one piece I wanted to use, and I don't know who it was by because it comes up funny. Sometimes they tell you the artist. The search is kind of lame, but it does work. And Adam would get the same basic page missing this one piece of work.
It was so fun because you're like, no, you say Thanksgiving with a capital T. No, try a lower T. I'm like, it's no surprise to me that Google is giving me different results than it's giving you. But it was only this one image. It was only that one image.
It was the one image. It would just not show up in Adam's feed. And we tried turkey, same thing. And I'm thinking, what good is this? Why is Google doing this? How does this work for collaborative teams who are maybe on a conference and they want to all look at the same thing? They want to do, let's go look at this. Let's put this in your search box and boom. No, and you don't get the same things. This is useless.
That's why Teams use Microsoft Teams and they get to Bing it, which is much more reliable.
Actually, we should have switched to Bing.
Binged it.
That make a difference.
We should have Binged it. But we couldn't find anything appropriate for the show. And we really looked for 20, 30 minutes. And then we said, why don't we just go with a good old-fashioned thank you for your courage, couple of turkeys, some people, cheers and wine, and be good with it. And that's what we went with. And that was what Mountain Jay did. It was a perfect kind of beautiful. We try to do something normal on the big holidays, I guess, art-wise. We don't try to go off the reservation.
No, there was a nice squid that was done by Riley, but it was not very Thanksgiving.
Yeah. But anyway, we appreciate it, Mountain Jay. Thank you very much. If you are using one of the approved podcasting 2.0 apps, which you can find at newpodcastapps.com, you will see the artwork we're talking about right now on your screen. It's flying by. It's a lot of fun. It's magic.
So let's thank a few people, starting with Baronet Patrick of the Pugner Order in Carnation, Washington, for $1,000. That was nice. I was looking forward to achieving my full-fledged baronhood status with this donation, but the whiny Night Overboard note on Thursday's show forced me to change it to a donation to the Scott M. Memorial.
Do you remember Scott M.? Don't you remember he was some guy who wrote a note early on? He was pissed off and hates us, and he said, I'm overboard, I'm out of here, and people started donating his memorial.
Vaguely.
I should look it up.
Please put another brick in the wall with Ulrich's name on it. Who sends a note like that on Thanksgiving? Is this kind of bullshit behavior common amongst the Danes?
Well, the Danes are the happiest people in the world. We know this. We know this. And because they're also over-medicated. But I don't want to blame it on them.
And they're very highly taxed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that could make you mad.
Yeah. To all the new listeners tempted to send additional notes complaining about partisanship, you inspire us to donate to the Scott M. Memorial Fund in your name.
This is a very good action here. I'm enjoying this.
Your uncharitable comments will earn the boys more reward. Go unsubscribe in peace. Happy Thanksgiving, John and Adam. We love you. No jingles, no karma, no exit plan. P.S. Was the Thanksgiving episode the promise, quote, John will eat edibles before a show episode? This is that's what everyone's complaining about, is grousey. Something seemed elevated.
I would like
Baron Patrick of the Pugner Order.
So
Baron
Patrick.
He's got no demands for anything.
Baronet Patrick, thank you so much.
Baronet.
But
it'll be a baron in no time.
I do want to point something out. We had the big Horowitz-Curry Zoom call on Thanksgiving. John, I would like your boots-on-the-ground report as to how this call went.
Well, first of all, there was the call consisted of Adam standing there with Gene Natuliev with his full beard, and everybody, unknowing till later, over at the household where Eric and Mimi and everybody, all the kids were, saying, "What happened to Tina? She's let herself go." And so then the rest of it was Adam leaning over this thing. You couldn't see anything but him.
Okay, hold on a second. First of all, this was a Horowitz organized deal. And you guys were already on. I show up at 1 minute past 8. And the first thing out of your mouth is, "Oh, I lost $5. I said you wouldn't show." And that's the first thing that happened.
Well, then you weren't paying much attention, because the $5 referred to the fact that Mimi was on time. Not you at all.
Oh, I thought you said that. I asked you what was the bet. I must have misunderstood.
I said that Mimi would show up, be there right away, and she was. She was there, and I lost $5. That was the $5 bet. It had nothing to do with you.
But whose idea was it to put the laptop in the corner of the dining room and have everybody across the room eating? You couldn't. There was no Skype call like that. It was like voyeurism.
Hey, anyway, yeah, Horowitz's idea, and he.
Well,
so
anyway.
we all were on for a few minutes. It was boring, and I bailed first and got everyone to go do something else.
Here's what you said. After 5 minutes, you're like, "Well, I think that's it," and everyone's like, "Yeah, we think you agree." We did not put the link on No Agenda Social, to my dismay. I thought that would have made it lively, but anyway. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. It was good to see y'all.
It was cute. Except Tina let herself go. So she did show up for a moment. Anyway, onward with the thank yous on this regard. Joe Shinneman. This is actually a Chinaman with an S.
Hey, maybe it's a message.
I'm wondering about this. He's in Los Angeles, California, $600.04. ITM, this donation should bring me to knighthood. After wearing out my welcome in academia this year, I decided to take the plunge and found my own biotech startup armed with only an idea, a bioinformatic database, and some no-agenda startup karma. Despite the many ups and downs of 2020, I've managed to get it off the ground and get a provisional patent or two and raise some pre-seed money through a biotech accelerator. The result of the effort and karma is Petri Bio. Though Petri Bio, like Petri dish, I am helping to develop novel treatments for aging-related diseases using the peptides and biomolecules created by the gut microbiome.
Whoa.
Leaking gut. You've seen those videos?
Yeah.
You got a leaking gut? Yeah, leaking gut. Take these pills. If anyone wants to check out, go to Petri, PETRI-bio.com. We are wrapping up an equity crowdfunding round over the next few years. So if you like what you see, there's some time to get in on the ground floor. Shilling over. As for my knighthood, I'd like to be knighted Sir Olamus of the Rapa Nui Islands. I humbly request PCR primers and master mix for the round table, if available.
Oh yeah, we got these brand new primers. You'll love them.
Word to fellow feasters, limit yourself to 35 cycles max. Things can get weird after that.
No kidding.
The future Sir Olimus.
All right. Joe S. Chinaman, we'll see you at the round table. Thank you for your courage.
Marco Schnepf in Zurich, Switzerland, 333. Hello, friends. My restaurant. Oh, yeah. I've checked this restaurant out.
Yeah.
Hello, friends. My restaurant is located in the Corona hotspot of Zurich, where we are going to die. But before we do that, I'd like to send you some cash. I didn't want to send blankets or water, so I just send cash. Can I get some surgery karma for my 5-month-old toddler and my lovely sister? Love and light. Oh, XXXX. Only read this if it is useful for the show. An interesting article, Why Switzerland is Doomed, is in Foreign Policy, and he's got a link. We'll check that out. The restaurants are empty. That is wrong. 2, the hospitals are full. Only true in Geneva. 3, they say that even though Swiss hospitals are already postponing necessary operations such as the removal of tumors for cancer patients, so liberate beds for incoming COVID-19 patients, that's wrong. I know that as my toddler and my sister's operation are not necessary and they're having them. Okay. Nice little information, though. Thank you.
Yeah. And
yes, he has a restaurant. I looked it up. He's one of these, like an avant-garde guy. He's an avant-garde
What do you mean? What is that? Like, is it square? Is it triangle food? Is it, what is avant-garde?
Yeah. Well, actually, there's some elements of that.
Let me guess. Foam? Lots of foam.
No, foam is passé. I don't know whether you realize that.
No, I haven't been to a restaurant that serves foam for a while.
No, it's been passé for 5 years.
Well, that's probably the last time.
I still think foam is dynamite, especially if people know how to do it right. But it's not considered avant-garde.
Foam and gold flakes. That's my kind of restaurant.
You know, a lot of the foam is done with the foam was popularized, I don't know, 20 years ago or something like that by El Bulli out in Spain, by the most famous restaurant that existed when it existed. And you use one of those, you can do foam stuff. You get one of those whipped cream cans that uses the nitrous oxide chargers.
Yeah.
And instead of putting cream into the device, which is you can buy at restaurant supply stores,
you put the chef's different special mix.
You put gravy and stuff.
Yeah.
In it.
Oh yeah.
You get foam,
special stuff in there.
Anyway, it's just a little trick.
I like that. I like that.
Experiment.
I thank you for letting me know. If I see foam on a plate, I shall make a big deal about how old-fashioned it is.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
It's your phone.
Check the calendar. Onward. We have no jingle. Didn't we have a jingle or something? Well,
I'm giving a karma just in case we missed it there.
You've got karma.
Yes.
Thanks, Marco.
Yes, thank you.
Egghead. From Dayton, Ohio, 333.33. These people are all
executive
celebrating
producers.
our anniversary.
And a night here. A night to be.
Stop the hammering. Can you see the juice in LG White Dog Karma?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he wants for his jingles. With the permission from the Duke of the Miami Valley, I think that's someone. Today I should finally become a knight accounting below. I'd like to be pronounced as Sir Egghead, Knight, is by the way spelled AIG, Egghead of the Knight of the Long Shadows of Trash Mountain in Dayton. Probably a homeless encampment.
Okay.
I've been around since the restaurant review days of the best podcast in the universe. I've been overboard at least once, but I've come back with a vengeance. You're doing beautifully to keep us all sane, informed, and entertained. This is my most executive producer. Okay, this is the most he's donated.
Well, thank you.
He says, he's got some numerology here. Oh, interesting.
This is interesting.
1 plus 2 equals 3 times 33 equals 99. And then he's got 12.99. Oh, I see. 1, 2. Okay, well, I'd like to shout out to my homies on the toots and thank you for your courage.
Stop the hammering!
Oh my gosh! Can you see that juice?
Yay! You've got karma.
There's a new kind of karma. We have another mix that has been sent in. This is for those of you dudes named Ben who are having troubles with your Windows.
You've got karma.
What dudes named Ben have trouble with their Windows?
I had one on the last show, if you remember.
Yeah, but you're not a dude named Ben. You had to call a dude named Ben to help you.
Yeah, who has so much trouble with these Windows machines, he says, don't restart it, get a new one.
Well, they always say that.
No, Dave Jones wouldn't say it if it wasn't.
Buy
really,
a new
really
one.
Yeah.
Sell it. Throw it out.
One of our
Chinese crap.
One of our
that is Chinese crap, by the way.
One of our producers heard the call, and he is sending us his Surface Pro 7. In the box, he says, I never used it. How about
that's
that?
Sweet. Tell him he can credit himself with that amount toward his knighthood.
Yeah, that's what I said, but he wants to remain anonymous. So,
well, that doesn't mean he can't become an anonymous knight.
Okay. Well, I told him, I said, as you wish, but thank you very much, because that's a significant gift. I really appreciate that.
And I can reveal who it was, General Flynn.
It's being delivered
JD,
by
the Baron of Silicon Valley is next on the list. That's another thing. Whatever happened to, there's another thing bitching about Trump.
What?
You should have been invited to the last inaugural. And you used to be connected to General Flynn. You used to be he had his aide de camp or someone of his assistants.
Okay, hold on. All right. Yes. If you recall, I was supposed to be invited because I have connections to General Flynn until General Flynn was a problem. so it was like that was all an issue right away. But to be fair, I once again got the message, hey, keep January 20th free. I'm like, okay, I won't hold my breath.
Well, at least you got the laptop as a make good.
There you go.
Sir JD, the Baron of Silicon Valley in San Jose, 3/13/37. ITM, Jen, so that Adam can cue up some jingles. Please line up an F cancer goat scream for my father-in-law, Donald, who is waiting for his second course of chemo to start.
Yes.
Anyways, please accept this Left 13 donation as an early celebration of show 1300.
No, he says Elite 13. Elite 13.
LEET, which is something in a hacksaw. And a shout out to the 13 people that signed up for the Santa Cruz Mountain Meetup protest. Yesterday.
Yes. NoAgendaProtest.com.
Yep. NoAgendaProtest.com.
Can we get a little just cross off meetups on the website and just put a stamp there, protest, so it's really official?
I thought it was a cute idea.
Yeah, then it turned out
folks,
to be worse.
And please send in the meetup reports of your adventure. Keep up the great work, JCD and Podfather, Sir JD.
Yes, here you go.
You've got karma.
There you go, man. For your father-in-law, Donald.
There you go. You can pick up Miss B, the bag lady.
Miss B, the bag lady, sends us $250 and is our first associate executive producer. And she says, I'm donating for the first time in celebration of my 41st birthday. So please add me to the birthday list today and de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
I was hit in the mouth after hearing Adam on Joe Rogan back in March. What? The MTV VJ, treasured from my teenage years, was talking about flip phone surveillance and the right to carry? Sold! I cannot tell you how refreshing No Agenda has been during all the hysteria of 2020. I gave up on the M5M a while ago and appreciate you calling it out as fear-driven clickbait. Someone should do a running count of the number of newspaper articles this year with the word anxiety in the headline. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. In grade school, we learned about yellow journalism and its historical role in drumming up support for war. Does no one else remember this or realize it still exists? Thank you both for doing the work in a grammatically but not politically correct manner. And please give a shout out to my smoking hot boyfriend, Mattia Doc Brandybuck. Mattia Doc Brandybuck. He may not exactly be hit in the mouth, but with that name, you might want to slap him at least. He always laughs when I sing your jingles, and since I've not been quite able to do it justice, I'd like to request the full Sharpton Respect jingle, along with some Pink Floyd Howling Dog Karma and a birthday kazoo. Do we have a birthday kazoo? You're going to have to do the birthday kazoo.
I don't have the kazoo. I can't find it.
I have a kazoo.
He's getting lunch at Chick-fil-A. The tortoise in the race. Kim Kardashian, Sigourney Weaver, Rush. R-E-S-P-I-C-T. They're all jitty. R-E-S-P-I-C-T. There's no real conflict. Resist. We must. Resist. We must. We must. And we will must.
Karma.
Don't tell me we don't serve the customer. Ms. B, thank you very much.
Yeah, that was actually pretty nice. Another Joe Rogan.
A Roganite,
and they come in with good numbers. They're not like,
they don't mess around, man. They're thankful.
Joe Rogan has a well-heeled audience.
They are they're excited. They're excited because they're excited. They're good people. Clearly,
they're excitable.
They're excited and excitable. They're just good people. I appreciate it.
Because we have content. Not that Joe doesn't, but Joe's an interview show. Let's face it. Anonymous is next. $222.22. Practicing media deconstruction is invaluable, regardless of whether we always agree. Longtime JCD follower from PC Mag.
Yay.
I particularly like wife's reaction when John slut shames users or uses woman pejoratively. How do you use the word woman?
Okay, I'll give an example. That woman, Sidney Powell. I'm so tired of that woman. That would kind of be, I think, what she's talking about.
Maybe, but she gets a kick out of it.
Yes.
I think. Is that what he said? Particularly, her reaction. Oh, she doesn't get a kick out of it.
I don't think so.
Here's what she does. Let me guess. She folds her arms and then holds them tight and says, how can you listen to that guy? That's what happens.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
I think so. He needs a he or she or whoever it is needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Yeah.
The folded arm thing, that's the
the one you got to look out for.
Yeah, that means look out. If there's a gun around, duck.
When I saw the folded arms in my last marriage, all firearms were removed from the house. Believe me, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah. Why take a chance?
Mm-hmm.
Nick Soapis in Leavenworth, Kansas, 222.22. Please give the show credits to my smoking hot wife and mother of 4 Wild and Amazing Human Resources. 4 Wild and Amazing Human Resources. Tabitha Soaps.
Okay.
Soaps.
Okay.
Her birthday is December 2nd. I believe she's on the list.
Yes.
All the best. No jingles, no karma. Thank you.
Tabitha. You got it. Tabitha's on the list. Fantastic.
And she'll get the credit for this show.
She will.
Sir Sean Knight of the cisgendered third world jungle in Santa Ana. In San Jose, Costa Rica. Oh, he's down in Costa Rica. That's where all the retirees like to go. 202.02. I would humbly request an F cancer for my father, who has just been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Almost certainly metastatic. You don't want to get that.
No.
I just had 7-hour surgery to take out various bits of organs to hopefully give him a little longer. Thank you, Sir Sean Knight of the cisgendered third world jungle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, for Sir Sean's dad and for who was our other? We did one. Sadly, had another one of these. Let's just all really focus on this for a minute. Let's go F that cancer. Let's F it.
You've got karma.
And that is our group of associate executive producers and executive producers for show 1299. I should point out that next Thursday will be show 1300. It's ludicrous. Ludicrous.
Ludicrous?
But we did, yes, ludicrous that any two guys, without ever having a fight, could go 1,300 episodes of a podcast, of all things, having their careers in a shambles until we discovered. Actually, one of them went so far to invent podcasting.
So we could pull our shambled careers out of the gutter and to live on the lowest rung of show business ladder. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen.
The definition of marketing is epitomized by this show because podcasting was invented by one of the two hosts to use as the vehicle. It's unbelievable. This is nothing like this has ever happened before, except for the guy who invented television, but he never appeared on television.
No, that's right. That's right. And how's that Ed Thomas Edison show going? How's that Tesla radio show? Huh? No. No,
they just did only half the job.
They did not complete the circle. And
then, to top it off, this guy does another podcasting initiative by creating Podcasting 2.0 because he sees it being usurped.
Yes, and
by evil forces.
Well, I see poverty in our future if we don't do something about it. So what I'm trying to preserve us.
Again, marketing.
Yes, I mean, the marketing is preserve podcasting as a platform for free speech. The truth is preserve a job for Adam and John. They can't just float off into the distance like that. And one of the best part of this show is these guys don't even do work. They just called their listeners producers. They sit back and let them send everything to them. I mean, these guys need to go down in history as genius, don't you think?
Well, except for the fact that I actually did dig up the Mike Adams clips.
Okay. If you'd like to participate as a producer, and you know what we need your time, your talent, and your treasure, we would certainly appreciate you helping us out in the financial realm because it is a vow of poverty, this podcasting. To do that for the next show, which will be on Thursday, please go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
I'm just going to throw out one more goat karma for everybody, for our producers.
You've got karma.
The executive producers and associate executive producers, real titles, you can use them anywhere. We'll vouch for you if there's ever any question. And thank you for producing it with your time, your talent, and your treasure.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave.
Before we continue, do you have ISO candidates? Because I only had the one. I only had that one.
I've got nothing. What do you got?
Well, that old lady.
Keep to the rules and you'll all be fine.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
Okay, well, it's better than your nothing.
It is better than my nothing, but I don't think it's better than half the stuff we have in the can.
Okay. Well, we've used all our stuff in the can. What is this? I'm just searching.
All the bad things that are happening to white people today happen to black people first.
Maybe not.
That's a good one.
Okay. I think that's a Mo Fax.
I was thinking that too. Mo Fax would be a little better for this show.
We have that one, and we have...
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's probably one of yours. What's this one?
Wow.
That's definitely one of yours.
It's a feeling of dread.
That's kind of good.
Congratulations.
Ooh. Maybe we just go with, since we'll retire, how about this? We retire this ISO with this last time we play it. And I'm okay with this being the last time we play it.
Please. Oh God.
No, that's a no.
No, that's okay. It's okay if you're sure everyone that this is retired for good.
This okay, yes. That will be the last time we use the slow down Kraken.
The Kraken.
The Kraken. Okay. I can assure everyone of
Kraken my ass.
Because it wasn't all that great. It was just fun, you know.
Well, you're the one that was a big... You liked it.
I did. Because it's something that I thought of and like, no, if I do that, John's going to go, oh, brother, oh, God. And then you did it, which just makes me... We're such a
more than a couple of tweaks to make that sound like that.
I know. Well, we're quite a team, John. Somehow it works. Jeff Smith is prepared for Biden's win.
By the way, did we finish the segment with the the jingles and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, we still have a whole nother segment, remember?
No, I thought there was the New World Order.
I did all that. Yeah. You didn't hear it? Huh. It actually did happen. It sounded like this.
For a better life beyond your freedom, build back better.
Good enough.
For someone else.
See, he's tightened it up now. He's tightened it up. I want your kids singing
it's good, but it's not his normal level of ridiculously professional.
Really? I mean, I think it's very professional. It's
okay.
It's up there for me.
So what? So he's in on something. Biden. He's in on Biden.
Yeah, because he knows that Biden. He knows that Biden's going to prevail, and then we'll be building back better, which is going to be so. The thing I love about it is all these podcasts by the elites. That's really quite fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying their podcasts and their evil plans that they think is all normal and. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm going to have to start listening to those podcasts.
Before
they're diluted, by the way.
Oh yeah, but that's the beauty of it, and all the elites show up on these things. Here's a note which is important for us to read from Sir Scott McKenzie, who 10 years ago in December, released the first edition of his Gitmo Nation novels. And the first one was One Day in Gitmo Nation, which I think we even read excerpts of on the show. And he is pleased to report the publication of the latest No Agenda novel, which is now available on Kindle and in paperback. It's called Cockroach Milk. And it is, here's the blurb. There's a blurb on this book. You know, it's the way it should be. There should be I love this book, Adam Curry, but he didn't ask me. Cockroach milk is the new superfood, rich in proteins and nutrients, but it's impossible to produce on an industrial scale for all but one secretive corporation. When a factory worker goes missing, the FDA send in their new inspector, Polly Benton, to investigate. Polly has secrets of her own, but nothing compared to what's waiting for her at the cockroach milk factory.
Wow. Actually, I'd be intrigued by that storyline.
It's on Amazon as I said, as a paperback, as well as on Kindle, and I'll put those links in the show notes. Actually,
get it on the reading thing.
Yeah, noagendabooks.com. Yeah, that'll get put on. And we're always pleased as punch about this book. Scott McKenzie, who does not do this professionally, it's his hobby, is a good writer. These books are entertaining. It is possible to just read it and go, oh shit, this is funny, and it's creepy, and it's all at the same time. It's all good.
So let's talking about the cockroach factory. I have a couple of international clips I'd like to get out of the way.
Are you making some pejorative thing about Chinese?
What?
You said, speaking of cockroaches, you have international news. I'm like, what? Sorry.
No, but this woman, the inspector, and that goes to the cockroach factory, she almost gets assassinated, just like what happened in Iran, and we should probably discuss this.
I'm not entirely convinced we're about to see conflict break out in the region. We just heard from an Israeli cabinet official, according to Reuters, saying, quote, that they have no clue who was behind this. Standard procedure, frankly, for Israel, even if it was involved. At this point, there is no evidence pointing to that, bar the circumstantial facts that they've been behind similar attacks in the past. No evidence pointing to their involvement here, and standard procedure for them would be to deny involvement. But essentially, they are the people with the capacity to do this and the track record of doing it in the past. What is Iran's likely move next? Well, the rhetoric has been exactly what you would expect, frankly. They have, we've heard from their supreme leader that he thinks people should have two things on their to-do list. Firstly, to swiftly retaliate against the killers, and secondly, also to continue the work of this prominent nuclear scientist, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, kind of the public face of Iran's nuclear program, very reclusive as he was still when they had one. It's important to point out that they say they're no longer pursuing a nuclear weapon, or they have been saying they're enriching various parts of uranium at a rate which is outside of the terms of the nuclear deal they were a party of. Now remember, the Trump administration got out of that deal, put on heavy sanctions against Iran, a policy of maximum pressure. The administration of Joe Biden, the president-elect, are saying they want to pursue diplomacy at this point. So what does this assassination at this point do? Well, it makes hawks in Iran say potentially, well, listen, there's no point talking to anybody here. Some of our most prominent people are being killed on the outskirts of Tehran. Our adversaries don't want peace. But at the same time, too, you might argue that it makes any potential diplomacy with Joe Biden a stark relief.
Yeah, this was very interesting, and the thing that made me most interested is John Brennan's anger about this move. What did you pick up on this?
Well, first of all, let's back up. I guess we forgot to preface it that the Iranians' top nuclear physicist, the guy who's the face of the program, was assassinated.
Well, what we've seen is a car with bullet holes. We haven't seen a bullet hole riddled body.
It could have been extracted. He could have been killed by a lover. It could have been some
very angry lover.
There's a million possibilities. There's no proof of anything. And if it was done right, there never will be. There's some thoughts about that. This was to pre-scuttle any attempt by the Biden administration, which means there is some evidence that they think that he could possibly get in, pre-scuttle any future negotiations with Iran, and this would have been orchestrated by the Israelis because they didn't like that nuke deal, the original one, and they don't want it going back into play.
Right, which is what former CIA director Brennan is saying. He's saying, "Oh yeah, this was the Israelis." He's pointing directly to the Israelis. Which I
doubt they did it without us knowing about it in advance or approving it.
No doubt. But what do you think the point is? What do you think
it is?
Well, Brennan said, where's his Brennan? This was a criminal act and highly reckless. It risks lethal retaliation and a new round of regional conflict. Iranian leaders would be wise to wait for the return of responsible American leadership on the global stage.
No, this guy never gives up.
No. My thinking was, okay, well, coming from where I'm coming from, we already have enough reason to hate China. If Iran is saying, "Oh, we're gonna blow you up, America," that would be another reason to implicate them in the vote scandal. You see, that could be one.
Yeah,
although
I agree with that's a possibility.
Quite reckless to kill a guy.
China could have killed him.
Now that one, I had
consider China being the assassins here.
There you go. Oh, interesting.
Because if those guys got nuke capable, they're really targeting. They could target China quite easily, especially those areas. Yeah, especially those areas where the Uyghurs are, and to free the Uyghurs by dropping a bomb on them.
Now, at first, I thought maybe it was also a a move to get to make it more difficult for Trump to do any more Middle East peace deals, which has been quite successful for him. At least with, I mean, this you're seeing it. It's very interesting how people are finding peace in business. Hey, we can do business together. Well, I won't kill you just yet. And that's with the United Arab Emirates and Israel, and that's all working out. And Jordan's, of course, Jordan's there, but there are more that want to join on board. And maybe it was just to throw a monkey wrench into that. I don't know. And why would Israel do it now? I mean, they can do this anytime they want. And why? And it's public. It was meant to be a news story because they shot him in his car. So
I know the timing is everything with these things. Mm-hmm. And it's not as though they couldn't have. You're right.
I like the China angle. Maybe it's China. Okay, here's one. China sees the noose for the voting fraud, and they want to make it look like it's Iran. No matter what, just blame those guys. Who knows?
Well, the Iranians are the number one hackers in the world. There's people. We brought this up on the show before.
Well, what happened to the North Koreans? I thought they were the number one hackers. Well, how can you blow my bubble?
The Iranians, we brought this up like 5-6 years ago after I'd visited Cloudflare to get a lecture from the CEO on what they do, because what they do is censor people they don't like. But yeah, okay. Cloudflare, which is over in San Francisco. So I go in there, I get the lecture, and we start talking about this sort of thing. And he say, "Oh yeah, the Iranians are a real problem. They have banks of computers. They do attacks. They do a lot of distributed attacks, and yeah, they all come from Iran."
Could it have been a complete distraction for something else that took place?
Well, that's always in the card for the No Agenda show.
Yeah. I really don't have much else. I looked and I was, probing my usual sources. There's not much there.
Have to wait.
But it was definitely, it was a media story. Because why does everyone, I don't think anyone gives a crap in the United States or maybe in the rest of the world. Like, oh, all right, some nuclear scientist got killed, whatever. Unless we're, I can't believe a scientist got killed. But when you say Iranian nuclear scientist, everyone thinks, a war guy. But the media played it up into this big thing. So there's a reason for that. We just don't know it yet.
Well, they were told to do it, and they did.
They did. The
other
job.
story, which even my wife picked up on, is and finally, we talked about this.
That's the pejorative thing against women that they don't like, John. When you say even my wife picked up on it, this is seen as pejorative. I'm just saying.
Wait, if I was a woman, I said even my husband picked up on it.
Yeah, that means your husband's a dummy. That's the way it's
now you AdamMcCurry.com.
It's okay, I get your email anyway. I can't wait until I get your P.O. box mail.
So here's that's coming. So here is the story about France really got bent out of shape, and there's a lot of timing issues involved with this, especially the beating the crap out of some poor musician black guy in his own studio. It was recorded and became a big scene. This is the National Global Security Bill, Article 24, that was passed. The French government doesn't care what the people want.
It was a protest about how future protests will be covered. Thousands gathered in Paris on Saturday to oppose the global security bill currently being debated in Parliament. But Tuesday evening, the National Assembly voted in favor of the bill as a whole, having already approved its controversial Article 24, which would ban the publication of images of policemen with the intent to cause them harm. The bill will now head to the Senate, but critics fear that it would make covering protests like this one, as well as documenting police brutality, much more difficult. Those in favor say it is necessary because of the targeting of police online during the Yellow Vest protests.
The broadcasting and capturing of images, whether with a camera or by citizens on a phone, of policemen doing their jobs with their faces exposed, will still be possible. What will change is that any calls for violence or incitement of hatred that accompany such pictures will be sanctioned by the law.
I think this is a lie. I don't think this is not why they protested. I think that's being used as an excuse. They were burning down the central bank. That doesn't seem to be an issue.
Always protesting one thing or another,
right? But
this one was. I thought this one was jacked up because of the two incidents that took place. One of them they discussed in this report. The other one was the severe beating of these poor
That musician. Would do it. Yeah, that would do it. But it's
in his own place. And luckily, he had security cameras that caught it, and the policemen were immediately fired, and they may be indicted. And it became one of these. It was a scandal because it was a black man.
Yeah,
and the N-word was involved, and all the rest of it. So I don't know.
Europe is...
Yeah, the French are bitching and moaning about everything.
Well, Europe is in
turmoil. Bank down.
Europe is in turmoil, and the Germans are very mad. November 18th, the German Parliament passed the Infektionsschutzgesetz, which is German for Infection Protection Act. Sorry, Deutschland, I can't help but doing your accent. Which formally grants the government the authority to issue whatever edicts it wants under the guise of protecting public health. And this is possible, and this is what people are mad about, because there's this Enabling Act of 1933, which is still hanging on the books, which formally grants the government the authority to issue any edict it wants under the guise of remedying the distress of people. The Germans got sprayed with water, which was laced with tear gas or some property in there that burned when they were protesting. People are very, very upset about this because they have memory. They do remember weird things going down, and this. So the government can, in fact, with this Infection Protection Act, pretty much make the people do anything. They have carte blanche.
Well, Europe's a mess.
It is. In Rotterdam, let's see where I have this. Yes.
This is going to collapse on them.
Oh, yeah. Because I was talking to Christina. Because I saw this video. Do I have this? Here's Rotterdam. So Rotterdam, right over the train station there, which is a beautiful modern train station. It's in a very modern, completely rebuilt, phenomenal modern architecture in Rotterdam. And if you've ever been to Schiphol Airport, it's the same. We have the train station there, but really it's a shopping place. It's a shopping mall. It just happens to be where you can go for transportation.
And a big one.
A very big. And this train station in Rotterdam Central Station is big. So they have a drone flying above, maybe 250 feet, I guess. Not much, maybe not even taller than or above some of the buildings at night. And there it is. This is just blaring outside over the central little square there. It said, the stores are closing. Go home. You are spreading coronavirus. This is dangerous. You should not be out. Go home. Yes.
You're spreading coronavirus?
Yes. Oh, yeah. This is dangerous
it says,
for your
go
health.
home. You're spreading coronavirus.
Yes. I would have to listen again. It's probably the coronavirus is spreading. Maybe that's what it was. I have to listen to it again. But it doesn't matter because I said to Christina, what's going on? What are the regulations? She says, Dad, I really don't know. No one gives a shit. We have a mask in our pocket, and if someone bitches about it, we put the mask on, and we don't care. And they don't. And the Dutch, strangely enough, have not really gotten to protesting. They've been so beaten down by their system. It's kind of disappointing that they're not just out there on the streets with this nonsense. And they're getting the same. It's the corona emergency laws that have changed the actual political structure where the mayors no longer report up the food chain. They report directly to the chief of mayors now in The Hague. I mean, this is subverting their entire political system.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, let's build back better. Get ready for it. It's all coming our way.
Nothing is what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's all. Well, they're going to build something. You notice how everyone's going to see Mitch McConnell?
What is that all about?
Well, I can tell you what the
King Mitch.
I can tell you what the thinking is. The thinking is
King Mitch.
The people going to see King Mitch, the mighty King Mitch. We need a better one for Mitch. What is an M or royalty? Majesty Mitch. There you go.
Monarch Mitch.
Monarch Mitch. Write that down. Monarch Mitch. Everyone who's going to see him right now is cutting a deal so that they don't have to go to jail when Trump wins. I'm just saying that's the word. That's the word. And I don't
you win.
I don't put it past anybody. I think it's very possible. Now let's just pretend that Joe Biden's going to get in. Let me see. Let's just listen to this for a moment. This is Howard Kurtz. I think he's on Fox News. And he goes through a rundown of all the people who the Biden administration will bring in, or these are presumed people.
We still have the real the office pool. When will Susan Rice?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. These are all low-rent, bargain basement people that he's got. I mean,
yeah, Susan Rice.
No, we said bargain basement. Yeah, not at the 5 and dime. This is at least cost $1, these people. Here, let's listen to who's coming in.
When Joe Biden does unveil Tony Blinken as his pick for Secretary of State today, he'll be introducing the global affairs analyst for CNN, which Blinken joined after working at the top of the Obama State Department. This revolving door is spinning even more quickly between the media and the government. There's a mini exodus at MSNBC for Obama veterans who became cable pundits. Rick Stengel, former Time magazine editor, had joined the Obama State Department, now has left MSNBC for the Biden transition. Also leaving MSNBC for the transition, as you mentioned, former Obama prosecutor Barbara McQuaid and Zeke Emanuel, medical expert who will work on COVID strategy. Jen Psaki, who many may remember as Obama's State Department spokeswoman, has left CNN for the transition. Now, sometimes the connections are behind the scenes. So author and former Newsweek editor John Meacham was an NBC and MSNBC contributor, but was dropped from that role for helping Biden with some of his speeches without disclosing that to viewers. There's nothing inherently wrong with this game of musical chairs. It's no secret that many high-profile people have moved back and forth between Fox News and the Trump administration, but it does seem that more journalists join Democratic administrations like Biden.
The thing I'm most worried about when Trump stays in office is that there'll be no more mainstream media. They're gonna fall apart. They've got nothing. All these people, they've now left, so they won't be able to come back that easily. And what are they going to talk about? I mean, no one will watch them anymore. I think it may just like the Emmy Awards and the Grammy Awards. Now even the Grammy Awards artists are pissing all over them. All of this stuff is going away. And the biggest reward has got to be for the apparently person who helped the win in Arizona.
President-elect Joe Biden is reportedly considering Cindy McCain to serve as the U.S. ambassador to UK. McCain, a lifelong Republican, backed Biden during the election and released this campaign ad. Many view that her support helped Biden win Arizona, where her husband, John McCain, was a senator from 1987 until his death in 2018.
Now that is the cushiest of them all. The London ambassadorship, that's a dynamite gig.
That's one of the top 2 gigs. The 2 gigs you want, I think probably I think Beijing might be up there. I think that might be a new version of the great ones. But the 2 top gigs traditionally have always been ambassador to the UK.
Yes, the UK
why?
Is big. Yep.
Parties.
Well, the whole thing is a party scene. That's the best.
It's a giant party. Yeah. And then the other one is which is what John Doerr over at Kleiner Perkins has always been angling for. And I think he probably has been donating, although he's like the kiss of death as a donor.
You don't want him promoting anything you're doing.
So he's always wanted the ambassadorship to France, which is the other big one.
That's because Pierre does the great hair. Everyone wants to live in Paris.
You have to be a major bundler to get that gig,
or you need to be a podcaster, because if Trump prevails, I am totally becoming the ambassador to Holland.
You should.
I should. I would be great. And only for a couple of years, just for the parties and the cool mansion.
Well, so that's all there is to the job.
Well, and I get to do the podcast. Can you imagine how much fun that would be?
Oh, that'd be great. And somebody had to reset the opening. And the ambassador to Holland, Adam Curry.
I'm sorry, the honorable. I become the honorable. And from
the honorable Adam Curry.
Yes. And after my ambassadorship is over, people still have to refer to me as Mr. Ambassador.
Yes, forever.
Yes. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Okay.
I guess that explains it all.
Yeah, it kind of does. Black Lives Matter still around, seeping into the Academy Awards even further than they were. As award season is coming up, and it always starts with the international Emmys.
Have asterisks next to these awards.
On Friday, the national conversation about systemic racism sparked by the death of George Floyd, the Academy announced sweeping plans aimed at swiftly furthering its diversity and inclusion initiatives, including setting the Best Picture category at 10 nominees, rather than a fluctuating number. I see. This is to give more people more chance and make it more equitable. They don't understand that they're pricing themselves right out of the public's interest, do they?
No. So I have a series of 3 clips we can run.
Okay, good.
Obama came out with a new book, another memoir. This is his 3rd memoir.
Part 1.
He keeps writing. Apparently, he keeps writing these memoirs because I forgot to put that in. So it was reviewed kind of on the Useful Idiot show with Matt Taibbi and Katie.
Oh, good.
And this is a very disturbing series of clips.
Now, hold on.
Disturbing.
Were they able to read it? The thing is 8 and 8. It's like, isn't it like Atlas Shrugged length?
I guess.
It's supposed to be.
Katie read it. And
700
Matt
pages.
hasn't read it, so Matt has not read it.
Okay.
Katie's read it.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah, it would be more likely that she'd be plowing through it, and so here, I just want to play these clips, and you have to listen to the reaction to, in this case, Obama literally admitting to, in the book, that he's a murderer.
So what do you got?
Okay, so I wanted to read an excerpt from A Promised Land, which is already, by the way, a bestseller. And this, Matt, I think you'll really like this part. So he's talking about foreign policy, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes, in places like Yemen and Afghanistan, the lives of millions of young men had been warped and stunted by desperation, ignorance, dreams of religious glory, the violence of their surroundings, or the schemes of older men. They were dangerous, these young men, often deliberately and casually cruel. Still, in the aggregate at least, I wanted somehow to save them and send them to school, give them a trade, drain them of the hate that had been filling their heads. And yet the world they were part of and the machinery I commanded more often had me killing them instead.
He didn't really write that.
Yeah, he did write that. But you know why he had to do that, Matt?
Did he really?
Yeah, he wrote that. If anyone can send us the audio of that, it would be great, and we'll clip it in. Anyone who's bought the ebook.
Come on, how can you not laugh at that?
Oh, I did. I mean, I already did that. You have to understand, I've been more I saw this earlier than you did, so I laughed before.
That takes some stones to write that. I have to say, I'm very. I'm impressed. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
But who do you think? Guess of all people who in Obama's circle was obsessed with his hit list, with his execution list.
Brennan.
Assassination list. Sorry, assassination. Guess who in his inner circle would you think would be obsessed with that?
I wrote a story about this.
Rahm, very good.
Yeah.
He was quote unquote obsessed. And that's because he had spent enough time in Washington to know that his new liberal president couldn't afford to look soft on terrorism.
He's a killer. Queen Dynamite with the drum machine. Wow. That is pretty brazen. I wound up killing him.
I wound up killing and they think this is hilarious, these liberals. That's funny. Oh, yeah, he killed him. Oh, he's a murderer. This is great. Assassination of this Rahm Emanuel. I mean, I just found this to be, and I'm going to, word we don't use enough, abhorrent.
Yes.
The reaction to this was just, it was beyond me, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, I think.
I'm shocked. I'm
shocked. Peter Thiel said it was, it's violence is charismatic.
It's true.
So here's this is a little excerpt too, which I thought was funny because it was just, Taibbi caught it and it was another excerpt from the book.
But Matt, you're going to feel a lot better. Ready? Because he goes, I took no joy in any of this. It didn't make me feel powerful. I'd entered politics to help kids get a better education, to help families get health care, to help poor countries grow more food. It was that kind of power that I measured myself against. But the work was necessary, and it was my responsibility to make sure our he was doing the work. He was holding the space for assassinations.
Wow. That's great. Doing the work. Now, is that's still the assassination? So the Tuesday...
Yeah, you're talking about the assassination. Was doing the work.
The Tuesday kill list where he said, yeah, that one. Wait, he's an American citizen? Wait, and his son is 16? Yeah, kill them. That's his doing the work?
Yeah, he's doing the work.
I wonder what Robin DiAngelo thinks of that, doing the work. Oh, my God.
He's a black man. He can do anything.
He can do whatever he wants, yeah.
All right. Now, the last one has got nothing to do with his assassination hit list. It's just bringing out, I guess he really felt obliged to bring out his sleaziness.
Oh, no.
It's beyond me, but this is the third clip I have.
But Matt, you're going to feel a lot better. Ready? Because he goes, I took no joy in any of this. It didn't make me feel powerful. I'd entered politics to help kids get a better education, to help families get health care, to help poor countries.
Yeah, it says excerpt 3. And it has... Well, maybe you messed it up. Let's see if maybe it's longer.
Well, maybe it's all in here.
Yeah, it could be. It's all right.
What's the length on these?
Well, this one is... The other one was short. This is 119, so maybe you...
Okay, this will probably got more on it.
Yeah, I'll just play it.
But Matt, you're going to feel a lot better. Ready? Because he goes, I took no joy in any of this. It didn't make me feel powerful. I'd entered politics to help kids get a better education, to help families get health care, to help poor countries grow more food. It was that kind of power that I measured myself against. But the work was necessary, and it was my responsibility to make sure he was doing the work. He was holding the space for assassinations.
That's so gross point blank. I love it.
And it was my responsibility to make sure our operations were as effective as possible.
Wow.
He also, by the way, said that he read Marx and Marcuse and Fanon and Gwendolyn Brooks to get basically to hook up with women.
What?
Oh, well. Okay.
Looking back, it's embarrassing to recognize the degree to which my intellectual curiosity...
Hold on. Who was he trying to get to hook up with women?
He was reading Karl Marx, Herbert Marcuse, and some third author. These are all left-wing communists.
Oh, okay.
And he was reading this material so he could hook up with all these crazy socialist women that he ran into in college.
Oh, that's like these days you wear a pussy hat. Is that basically the idea?
Yeah, same exact thing.
Fanon and Gwendolyn Brooks to get basically to hook up with women.
Oh, well.
Okay. Looking back, it's embarrassing to recognize the degree to which my intellectual curiosity, those first 2 years of college, paralleled the interests of various women I was attempting to get to. No. Marx and Marcuse, so I had something to say to the long-legged socialist who lived in my dorm. Fanon and Gwendolyn Brooks for the smooth-skinned sociology major who never gave me a second look. Foucault and Wolfe for the ethereal bisexual who wore mostly black.
Wow. All right, I'm just going to give you a clip of the day because that was very worthy of it.
Clip of the day.
And it reminded me of
the long leg Mac Daddy.
Thanks, Obama.
Oh, man, oh, man. I can't wait to read this book.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
We do have a few people to thank for show 1299 to be exact. And we're going to thank them. Let me move the mic so I can thank Ashley Morzek or Mrorzek.
Mrorzek,
maybe.
Yes.
133.33.
She starts off with, "Hey guys," and we're not going to read her whole note because it is under the cut off. But she needs a de-douche of her bougie hippie of a boyfriend who does a good job of hitting people in the mouth. She should do that.
You've been de-douched.
It's a funny note she sent. Michael White in Chandler, Arizona, 130. Salem Madgen, I don't know. Tomball. How do you pronounce that? You're a Texan. Tomball, Texas.
Tumble.
130. And he, I don't know if it's a he or a she, actually. Thank you for the great show. Please call out Benny the Jew as a douchebag.
All right, done.
Sir John of the South London. In London, UK, 130. Oh, these are the 130s. I want to say
yes.
These are the ones that are celebrating the 1300.
Yes. They are pretty. Now we'll move. We'll also give them the credit for the 1300 show. We'll put them in there because I can remember to do that.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I want to apologize for not mentioning the last show, the 333.33s were all Thanksgiving show executive producer, special executive producer. You can use that on your credits.
Ooh.
We didn't credit it on the thing.
No, that's.
But we will credit it if you mention it.
And why don't I put these 1300s in a special category on today's list? How about that? And then we'll just expand it for our actual 1300s.
Well, okay.
No, I mean, whatever you're the boss.
It's fine. I mean, it's good. I want to thank these people. It's only, the great celebration took 1, 2, 3, 4 people.
The huge
so I guess we should give them a special call out.
Outpouring of celebratory congratulations. Yes.
Okay. That's Sir John of South London. Yep. Janet Kostrevsky in New Albany, Ohio, $130. And she sent a note in about Soros, which I didn't read, and I will. I'll go back and read this. Onward with I from Sierra Nevadas, 128.
I think it's J.
J. It's J from Sierra Nevadas. Niels Den Boer in Breda.
Oh, you know what? Do you mind if I just read this J from the Sierra Nevada for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, he said, "My husband has been listening to No Agenda for 6.5 years. He softly hit me in the mouth all those years by sharing snippets with me he thought I would appreciate. It wasn't until the beginning of this year that I was fully hit in the mouth with the COVID coverage, and I was hooked. I used to ask my husband, how can you listen to all of this doom and gloom? But now I understand. It's so refreshing to hear real news and have the intelligent have intelligent conversations. Every once in a while, we listen to a 2-minute radio broadcast of the M5M News. I always find the slant or inconsistencies, and my husband says, 'You're thinking like a No Agenda producer.' Well, there is truth in the saying that couples that No Agenda together stay together. Although my husband has been giving 1111 forever and will probably be knighted soon, I have not yet donated myself after avidly listening for almost a year. So here's my donation, which happens to be my Costco annual refund, plus a $20 bill I found on the street." Well, this is our lucky day, and we're going to de-douche you for that. Thank you very much.
You've been de-douched.
Appreciate it.
We got Niels Den Boer in Breda, $100. Please, PhD defense karma. What does that mean? And baby making karma. We'll put that at the end for you.
Yeah, of course we'll give that to you. Oh, and he becomes an esquire.
Well, there's not really a category.
Isn't there such thing as an esquire? Okay, all right.
It's up. It's still debatable.
It's sketch.
David DeLoria in Santa Clarita, California, 100. Jose Ruitana, parts unknown, 100. Thomas Hurtado, 9442. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, thank you.
Janet Fiore Kramer in Haarlem, Netherlands, 9405.
Now,
what's the Dutch pronunciation of her name?
I would say, well, it's Jeanette Kramer. That's how they would say it. Jeanette Kramer. Fiore Kramer. Fiore.
Okay, she gets bumped up to 204. She says in her note, I made 2 separate donations, making my total for the show 204.05.
Oh, okay. So not only should she be an associate, she also has, I think she becomes a dame. Yes. I'll read this. I hit myself in the mouth by finding the show on my own while researching pipelines. Well, I'm surprised we didn't bump into each other. I regard this day as one of the best days of my life. As an American expat in the Netherlands, I find your perspectives of media deconstruction invaluable for my sanity. Ant killing and wine tips are also most appreciated. Both, I might add, come from my esteemed colleague, Senor Dvorak. I made 2 separate donations, making my total for the show $12.99, $204.05, as you mentioned. Not only does this make me an associate executive producer, but also puts me over the threshold to become a dame. And she says, I got the receipts in Dutch, rekening included. Respectfully, I request to be known as the prestigious roundtable as Dame Generous of the Nether Regions. Please, may I have goat scream karma for anyone out there who needs it for whatever reason. Love and light to all, and a Reverend Al clip of Adam's choice. Well, luckily you got the Reverend Al clip, the full one with the kazoo earlier on, and happy to give you a little karma. We'll see you in a minute at the roundtable.
You've got karma.
I'll give her a wine tip.
Oh, good.
Any 2016 Bordeaux wine, even if it's Bordeaux or Bordeaux Superior or Médoc, are generally outstanding. I'd say you have it. Just picking one out of the blue, just grabbing something off the thing. If it's somebody ended up buying it and putting it on the sale, you have a 98% chance, or 97% chance of that wine being outstanding, especially, and the cheap ones are good.
Huh.
The cheap ones.
What's cheap?
So get it like a $15, $10 one. You'll be stunned, but it has to be a 2016. Just coincidentally, one of those years.
All right.
It doesn't happen that often.
This is a tip that is useful, people.
Yeah, especially if you like good cheap wine.
No.
And Bordeaux doesn't give you a headache. Scott of the Tall Corn in Davenport, Iowa comes in with 8008.
Boob.
Dave Terrian in Livonia, Michigan, 6633. William Sadler in Phoenix, Arizona, 65 with a thank you. And 65 is also a donation celebrating 1,300 shows. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's very balanced.
It's a bonanza.
We're killing it. Raymond Barry in Las Vegas, Nevada is one of them, along with John C. Gazer. I'm guessing Gazer in New Milford, Connecticut, 65. And Francine. Hey, Dame Francine Hardaway in Phoenix.
Nice.
Thank you, Francine. She's in the hot weather. She moved from, I think she was in New York City.
Yes.
Brent Bengston in Kearney, Nebraska, 6006. Gummy Nerds Viscount of the Troll Room in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Go Packers, 5678. Peter in Lakewood, Washington, 5510. Double nickels on the dime for him. James Casheen II, Ashburn, Virginia, 5510.
And he has
got a note.
He has a douchebag call out for his friend Ishan, who he hit in the mouth and still listens to. Okay.
Douchebag. He hasn't donated. Deron Christie in Spokane, Washington, 5150. Brian Carter in Waukesha, Wisconsin, 5133. And he's got a birthday coming up, and he needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Oh, and this donation is credited to his son-in-law, Corey, in Tacoma for his birthday. Corey, keep track of that. These are valuable. Before you know it, you're at the round table.
Jeffrey Roman in Potomac, Maryland starts off the $50 list. These will be just names and locations, all $50. It's interesting. He says, your show is like the sun. It's not just that I see it, but but through it I can see everything else. Very poetic.
Yeah, beautiful.
Gertch in Glover, Vermont, $50, and he wants to say Justin Blanchard is a douchebag. Christopher Kessler in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Sir Richard Gardner in Chicago. Anonymous, parts unknown. Matt Bolke in Minnetonka, Minnesota. William Elliott in Aliyah, Hawaii. I think it's Aliyah. Raymond Barry in Lost Wages, Nevada, who rounds it out. And he says, I heard Adam on the JRE, and I've been a regular listener ever since. So there you have it.
I'm telling you, man, this is good news.
Rogan donation.
Woo! All right. That was it. Thank you all very much for supporting the best podcast in the universe. Everyone under $50 is there for a reason, either anonymity and do not want to be mentioned for whatever reason that is. We're okay with it. And the second reason is the people are on these cool subscriptions, which really do help as a baseline for the show. You can find out more about those. We have many magic numbers, no matter what you want, or you can always come up with one yourself. For all of that information, just go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And since it's been one of those days, I'm going to do a F cancer and a jobs cancer for everybody. A jobs cancer and a jobs karma for everybody. I won't give you jobs cancer. No, I'm not going to do that.
Jobs, and jobs. You've got karma.
Well, we are almost at the end of the month, and that doesn't mean that we don't have people celebrating birthdays all over the week. Yes, we have Kyle Stefano, who says, or Kylie, I should say, who says happy birthday to her husband, Jackie Green, who celebrated 2 days ago on the 27th. Team W says happy birthday to his son, Ashton, who's turning 19. Miss B, the bag lady, turns 41. Nick Soaps says happy birthday to his smoking hot wife, Tabitha, who will be celebrating on December 2nd. And Brian Carter says happy birthday to his son-in-law, Corey in Tacoma, who is celebrating today. Happy birthday for everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. And we don't, let me see. No titles today, but we do have, let's see, Kylie, Jackie. Oh my goodness, we have 2 dames and 3 knights. So let's get on with it.
I'll bring out the dual blade.
Ooh. Yeah, it is dual. Kind of. Up on the podium, Jeanette Fiora Kramer, Kylie Stefano, Jackie Green, Joe Shinneman, and Egghead. I am very proud to pronounce the Dangerous of the Nether Regions, Dame Girl Kylie of Gamehenge, Sir Jackie Green, Sir Alamus of Rapa Nui Islands, and Sir Egghead, Knight of the Long Shadows of the Trash Mountains. Gentlemen and lady, for you, the requisite hookers and blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, PCR primers and Master Mix, and of course we got bong hits and bourbon, geishas and sake, Rubenesque, Lumen and Rosé, we got ginger ale and gerbils, we got sparkling cider and escorts, and we do have that mutton and mead that you all enjoy so much. And thank you for your completing your knighthoods, which is a total aggregate of $1,000 supported over the lifetime of your donations to the best podcast in the universe. It is the No Agenda Show. We could not be happier about this. Thank you. And go to noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shield will hook you up and he'll let you know. Well, actually, you let him know where he can send off those handsome knight and dame rings, as well as the sealing wax and your official certificate, and our forever gratitude of thanks for producing the No Agenda Show.
No Agenda
Remember, it's not a meetup if it's a protest. It's noagendaprotest.com, which should go to noagendameetups.com. Here's what's on deck for Wednesday, Hurricane No Agenda Rooftop at St. Beach, Florida. That is every first Wednesday of the month. It's the Like a Party meetup at the Hurricane Seafood Restaurant. On Friday, Kawartha Cottage County meetup in Ontario, Canada. This has been updated, so make sure you check out what Sir Richard Knight of the Kawarthas has programmed for you. December 5th, that'll be Saturday, the Springfield, Missouri Super Spreader event, 2 o'clock at Lindbergh's Tavern. And on the way, December 6th in Tampa, Florida, Philadelphia Local 76, December 12th in New Orleans. We have Houston, Texas on the 12th, Columbus, Ohio on the 12th, Pittsburgh, PA, and on the 16th, Bothell, Washington, and brand new added to the protest list, December 19th in Montreal and Garden Grove, California, as well as the Nashville Noel agenda. Thank you all so much for organizing these. This is where you can go hang out with people who are all citizens of Gitmo Nation. We are varied, and we are very different from one to the next, but we all have something in common that seems to work out really well when you're just hanging out, having a drink. In fact, some say it's like a party. Go to noagendameetups.com and remember to tell the cops you went to noagendaprotest.com.
Sometimes you wanna go hang out with all the nights and days. You wanna be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You wanna be where everybody feels the same.
Like a party.
It's like a party.
Well, the affiliates have probably noticed we're late. Whoa.
Well, I've only got one clip left anyway, but I also have some backup, the substance abuse series.
Oh, no, we can't. No, this is not a break glass in case of emergency situation. Do not bring out the These are clips that John has been carrying over for, 4 months, maybe. And says, like, if everything goes to hell, we always have the substance abuse clips. I don't think I have anything else.
Well, let's play this Limbaugh clip. This is Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, he's still alive. That's good.
He's hanging in there. I mean, I don't know how long it's got left. I was watching Jeopardy, and they pre-recorded all these things, so they still have Alex Trebek on there.
Oh, okay.
But they had the Thanksgiving show on the other day, and Alex was, they mentioned it was supposedly Thanksgiving. They probably recorded it a month ago.
Well,
but you could just see he's almost, he didn't
look good. Yeah.
He's like dying in front of you. And
it was like watching Steve Jobs at his last One More Thing presentation.
His voice didn't have the presence, and I felt bad about it. I mean, he still did the job. He hung in there, and there's something about a guy who works to the end. I think there's something noble about that.
Well, don't you think that we'll also go out that way? I mean, what else are we going to do? What else are we going to do?
Well, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Ideally, you die on stage.
Oh, how beautiful to die on the podcast.
Die on stage, right in the middle of a line, and everyone says, "What is this guy kidding? It's a joke." Boo. There's a number of actors and performers who've died on stage.
Well, my favorite, not my favorite, is Tom. What was the comedian? Tommy, remember him? Tommy, the guy with the fez hat on, kind of a big oafy guy, British comedian.
No.
He collapses on stage. Tommy Cooper. He collapses on stage, and we're like, oh, that's funny. And then he's dead. And it wasn't so funny. Because Tommy Cooper was kind of one of his things. He could do weird things. He was a weird dude. But it's on video. It's on YouTube, obviously. All right, so what has Limbaugh done?
Well, Limbaugh is he's like you and Mo and a lot of other people. He's actually a big fan of Whitlock, Jason Whitlock, the black.
Yes, J-Lock 100.
And he is like, Whitlock is just, I have to admire the guy because he's just kind of a tell it like it is guy, and he doesn't put up with the nonsense that's in the leagues. And so Limbaugh's reading one of his reports, and I thought it was Limbaugh's not going to be with us more in a few more months, I don't think. And, and he doesn't only works once a week, so I thought I'd get a clip from him.
Now back to this Jason Whitlock piece, because folks, I'm telling you, this is the kind of piece that had he written it at ESPN, he might not have survived there. Over the last 55 years, the stewards of American culture have worked, and this, he means by this, the American left, white liberals primarily, have worked to disconnect black people from our religious faith, from our salvation? Black pride is the new religion, our skin color, and the degenerate behaviors that white liberals have deemed as authentically black have become the hallmarks of black culture. That is, man, what an allegation that is. That basically saying that white liberals are the ones calling the most aberrant behavior engaged in by African Americans as authentic, natural, you can't question it behavior. And Whitlock clearly is not happy about it. He doesn't believe that white liberals get to deem what is authentically black, particularly that they have chosen to highlight as authentically black.
Oh, man, I got to read this article now.
Oh, it's quite good.
Yeah,
Whitlock is a good writer.
By the way, you know, my mom passed of cancer, and, you know, we saw Steve Jobs. We've seen people with cancer. He's got a lot of lung capacity. He sounds very much like Rush. He doesn't sound strained like Alex Trebek.
No, because he's not on it. Alex Trebek, I think, on that show was on his last legs. I don't know how many more shows he did after that.
Yeah, but Rush was also
Rush
on his
hasn't
last
got to
legs.
that yet.
Well, good.
He will.
No, let's not say that. Let's not say that.
Well, I mean, it's possible
No.
he could survive.
He's going to, because I'm going to give him a goat scream.
You've got.
Oh, good. I think that was nice.
I mean, it's all we got, but it's heartfelt, and no one wants that. Ugh.
No, he's a original.
He is. And every single person who's filled in for him, which I catch usually on Wednesdays when I'm driving to spin class because you can't listen to the satellite in the parking garage, and I can listen to Limbaugh on KLBJ. And Mark Stein, no. You know, there's I
agree.
There's a couple. They'll suck.
Second rate.
No, they all suck. It's no good. I mean, you can't just sit down at that show and just do the show. It's got to be the Limbaugh thing. And I don't really listen to him at all. But when I do, he sounds the same. So we wish nothing but good for him. And we wish nothing but goodness for y'all as we head into the dark winter. As we prepare for what the next 2 weeks will bring us. And yes,
it's sunny here.
It's been raining here, actually. Kind of nice to get some water on the lawn. Whatever happens, we will rip it all apart for you once again as the media lies to you, deceives you, and robs you of your time. That will happen on Thursday. Please join us for that. No agenda show.
1,300 shows on Thursday.
It will be our big 1300. We hope you join up because, after all, you are largely responsible for it. Coming to you from Austin, Texas, the capital of the Drone Star State, Opportunity Zone 33, FEMA Region number 6 in the governmental maps. I have my campsite already picked out. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's sunny, and we're awaiting everybody. It is awaiting show 1300 of the No Agenda Show.
Coming up on NoAgendaStream.com, grumpy old Bens who are yelling at the clouds, more than likely, and one end of show mix from the ever effervescent and always being there Jesse Coy Nelson. Until Thursday, everybody, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos! And such.
We can get no education.
Mayor Bill de Blasio has canceled in-person classes.
Coronavirus has got in the way.
Robbing our children of their educations. They feel embarrassed. They feel angry.
No students are left in the classroom.
This doesn't feel fair at all.
All their parents' heads are turning gray.
So there's a big story up in the Seattle area about this teacher who just decided she just bailed out on her class and went to the woods.
Why not? Wait, did she take the laptop and she did classes from the woods?
Well, she couldn't get to the internet. She claimed there's no power in the woods.
All in all, it's just another scam for control.
The city's public school system, largest in the country.
Technocrats say, wanna swallow your soul.
Hey, I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul.
Swallow this.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.